Chapter 907 Lost. Please subscribe. Let's head to another immortal domain. The beast-robed figure made up his mind. There was no choice, as he had become thoroughly infamous within this domain. His life essence was locked on, and any action would lead to recognition by other immortals. Subsequently contacting the various immortal cities, an endless pursuit would then ensue. However, the beast-robed figure had no regrets. By killing the scion of the Lord of North Cold Immortal City, the treasure he acquired advanced his strength by several levels. Even if given another chance, the beast-robed figure would choose to kill without hesitation. Cultivation is a struggle against other immortals, struggle against the heaven and earth. In the eyes of the beast-robed figure, those immortals without power but in control of numerous cultivation resources were his prey, the nourishment on his path of cultivation. Let's see which immortal domain to choose. The beast-robed figure pondered. The choice of immortal domain was crucial, at least for his continued cultivation. A top-tier alchemy master has emerged in the Shantian immortal domain, named Yunjinzi? Interest sparked within the beast-robed figure. Top-tier alchemy masters were all rolling in wealth. The beast-robed figure had once attempted to assassinate a top-tier alchemy master, but was thwarted by the high-level jade immortal the latter had hired. Top-tier alchemy masters, while in possession of vast wealth, also greatly valued their lives, willing to pay a substantial price for their protection. This Yunjinzi, a newly emerged top-tier alchemy master, has yet to hire a top-level jade immortal? The beast-robed figure grew more interested. The last time Yunjinzi made a move, nearly 10 million years had passed, and the combat power he exhibited back then was slightly above average among jade immortals. To the beast-robed figure, this was a plump sheep, even more enticing than the scion of the Lord of North Cold Immortal City. A top-tier alchemy master, even a newly minted one, possesses insight far surpassing an ordinary jade immortal. The treasure I obtained from the scion of the North Cold City Lord elevated my personal strength by several levels. There won't be any mishaps in dealing with a mere newly advanced top-tier alchemy master. SEA the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The beast-robed figure was confident in himself. As for the intel that Yunjinzi was extremely low profile and seldom left his cave mansion, this posed no problem for the beast-robed figure. Having the audacity to assassinate a city lord's scion within an immortal city, and escaping under the envelopment of numerous immortal city killing formations, he was certain he could silently traverse the killing formations of Kangwu Immortal City and enter Yunzenzi's cave mansion. Shantian Immortal Domain it is. The beast-robed figure stood, merged with the world and vanished from sight. Shantian Immortal Domain was adjacent to the Beizhou Immortal Domain, the distance was not far, and with such an ideal target as Yunjinzi, accomplishing this deed would ensure the beast-robed figure needn't worry about cultivation resources for a good while. Within the cave mansion, the cultivation area, Lin Yuan still sat cross-legged. At this moment, the void in front of him faintly distorted, and a figure appeared. It was the Taiyin primordial spirit. These are cultivation resources. Lin Yuan opened his eyes, took out a spatial ring, and floated it in front of the Taiyin primordial spirit. In fact, the Lin Yuan frequently residing within this top-tier cave mansion was not the true body, but the Taiyang divine spirit. The top-tier cave mansion in Kangwu Immortal City had an irregular fissure that connected to the origin of the immortal realm, where the ancestral master resided. Naturally, Lin Yuan would not let his true self stay here for long. In the event of any extreme situation, attracting the ancestral master's attention and losing the true body would be far more serious than losing a primordial spirit. Hence, even without any incidents for over 500 years, Lin Yuan still maintained the mode of his true body hiding in a secret place, while the Taiyang divine spirit stayed in Kangwu Immortal City, amassing numerous cultivation resources to support the true Bodhis cultivation. The Taiyin primordial spirit's visit was to deliver the cultivation resources earned by the Taiyang divine spirit to the true body. The Taiyin primordial spirit took the cultivation resources and quickly disappeared within the cave mansion. Before long, the Taiyin primordial spirit arrived at a subterranean location countless billions of miles away from Kangwu Immortal City. There had formed a vast underground palace where the true body of Lin Yuan sat cross-legged at its center. The Taiyin primordial spirit appeared and brought out the spatial ring. Lin Yuan swallowed all the resources from the spatial ring and soon felt a slight stirring in his heart, looking in a certain direction. That was the surface above the subterranean palace, where the void faintly fluctuated and strands of black energy spread, quickly followed by the descent of 7 or 8 demonic beings. In recent decades, the impact of the demon abyss invasion of the immortal realm has become increasingly severe, Lin Yuan thought to himself. The specific manifestation was the frequency of demonic beings appearing in the immortal realm increasing, even in the remote area that Lin Yuan had specifically chosen. If demonic beings were invading there, it was even less likely that other places were spared. Why does the ancestral master not intervene? Lin Yuan's brows furrowed, slightly puzzled. Although the ancestral master was exalted, with these demonic beings clearly already affecting the immortals of the realm, especially in the wars between immortals and demons, countless golden immortals had perished. Even jade immortals could not all avoid misfortune. With the 12th layer strength of the ancestral master, it would not be too difficult to suppress the ancestor of the demon abyss, let alone preventing these demonic beings from invading the immortal realm. Yet time and again wars between immortals and demons occurred. The ancestral master, residing high in the origin source, overseeing the immortals, showed no intention of taking action. Forget it. I need not consider these now. Lin Yuan reined in his thoughts. Regardless of why the ancestral master did not prevent it, it bore little relevance to him. His current goal was to grasp as much as possible the 7th realm of time and space, as well as the fabled chaos rule. However, this temporary demon essence channel needs to be dealt with. Lin Yuan glanced at the surface, and after the arrival of the 7 or 8 demonic beings, the space gradually stabilized, and a dark portal about dozens of meters wide began to take shape. If the demon essence channel was left unchecked, it would continuously spawn demonic beings. Even if Lin Yuan's secluded underground palace remained undiscovered, once the demon essence channel expanded further, attracting attention from the jade immortals of various immortal cities, a large number of immortals would be dispatched to reseal the channel. At that time, it might be possible to discover traces of the underground palace. The demons have low intelligence, operating only on instinct. Although they are formed by the breath of the ancestor of the demon abyss, they have almost no spiritual wisdom. However, the jade immortals are different, with numerous methods at their disposal. Lin Yuan does not wish to cause any unnecessary trouble. The next moment, the Taiyin divine spirit vanished. When it reappeared, it had already reached the surface, standing before the rapidly forming demon essence channel. Oh whoa! Roar! The 7 or 8 demons, entering the immortal realm for the first time, were exhilarated. To them, the immortal chi of the immortal realm and the blood, flesh, and souls of the immortals were incomparably delicious, especially the flesh of the jade immortals, which was an ultimate nourishment. Every demon that invades the immortal realm, as long as they can return to the demon abyss safely, their strength would increase by dozens or even hundreds of times. However, before these 7 or 8 demons could get a clear view of their surroundings, their consciousness began to plummet into darkness rapidly, and their flesh and souls were reduced to the most primal demonic chi. Is this demonic chi the breath of the ancestor of the demon abyss? Using the primal force, Lin Yuan Taiyin divine spirit reverted the demons' flesh and souls back to their origin, turning them into these insignificant wisps of demonic chi. Ancestor of the demon abyss. Lin Yuan observed carefully for a while, allowing these wisps of demonic chi to dissipate. Being of the 12th and ultimate tier, it's not necessarily a good idea to retain even a trace of the opponent's demonic chi. Especially recently, the consciousness of the ancestor of the demon abyss is about to reawaken, and it's possible that up to 60% of its consciousness will return. At this time, any trace of demonic chi might become a beacon for the ancestor of the demon abyss. Demon abyss. Lin Yuan looked at the dark channel before him. At this moment, with a thought, the spacetime around the channel began to collapse, and the demon essence channel also began to rapidly disintegrate. Once I attain the 7th realm of spacetime comprehension, it might be worth a visit to the demon abyss. Lin Yuan thought to himself that with the 7th realm of spacetime comprehension, he could be confident in preserving his life even in the 12th tier path-splitting realm, considering the peculiar nature of the demon abyss existence. If possible, Lin Yuan would naturally dive in for a deep exploration. Moments later, the demon essence channel in front of him completely collapsed, as if it never existed. Seeing this, Lin Yuan finally turned and left. The disappearance of the demon essence channel was actually quite normal. For the numerous demons within the demon abyss, it was a common occurrence. If one channel disappeared, they would just move on to the next. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 10 years went by. In Kangwu Immortal City, within the cave mansion area, the figure in the beast robe, now taking the form of a slender golden immortal, appeared in front of the flying immortal hall. That place should be Yun Zhenxi's cave mansion. The figure in the beast robe glanced at the cave mansion area. The 33 immortal domains are vast and boundless. Even though the Beizhou immortal domain borders the Shantian immortal domain, it took the figure in the beast robe a full 10 years to reach Kangwu immortal city. 10 years have passed. Does Yun Zhenxi still have no intention of hiring top-level Jade immortals to protect him? A flicker of surprise crossed the face of the figure in the beast robe. Over the 10 years he never ceased to monitor intelligence on Yun Zhenxi, but he had never heard of any top-level Jade immortals being employed by him. Is it confidence in the immortal city's protective formation, or has he secretly hired them without my knowledge? The figure in the beast robe couldn't be bothered to ponder any further. Since he had come here, it meant that he was determined to succeed. Even if Yun Zhenxi had already hired top-level Jade immortal protection, he would still make his move to assassinate him. Compared to his last attempt, after obtaining that treasure from the heir of the Lord of North Cold City, the figure in the beast robe considered his strength to have greatly increased, confident that he could swiftly kill Yun Zhenxi even under the protection of a top-level Jade immortal. The immortal city's formation? The figure in the beast robe arrived at the entrance to the cave mansion area and smiled faintly. His figure merged with the heaven and earth, silently infiltrating the area. Passing by mansion after mansion, the figure in the beast robe finally arrived in front of a first-class mansion. This mansion was the one Lin Yuan was staying in. This Yun Zhenxi must have a close relationship with the higher-ups of the immortal city. I can feel the formation pressure in this area is much higher, said the figure in the beast robe with a slightly solemn expression. But it doesn't matter much. He could almost ignore the immortal city's formation entirely because of his acute mastery over spacetime. No formation can exist without spacetime. By mastering spacetime, most formations in the world become meaningless. Spacetime, the eyes of the figure in beast robe faintly glowed whitish, and then he merged into the first-class mansion. Yun Zhenxi should be in the cultivation area. After he infiltrated the mansion, the figure in the beast robe quickly surveyed the surroundings and then headed towards the cultivation area. The figure in the beast robe arrived at the entrance of the core area. Yun Zhenxi, excitement flickered across the face of the figure in the beast robe. Having infiltrated this far without triggering any alarms made him almost certain of his success in assassinating Yun Zhenxi. The next moment, the figure in the beast robe disappeared again, entering the cultivation area of the mansion. Like a pebble dropping into the endless ocean. The figure in the beast robe, who had finally entered the core area, suddenly found that the world around him had changed, a vast realm of endless layers of space-time, so immense that the figure could see no end to it. What is this? The figure in the beast robe was stunned and looked around repeatedly. An inconceivable thought surged in his mind at that moment. Had he lost his way? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 908 The Descent of Demon Abyss. Please subscribe. Where is this place? The figure in the beast robe was somewhat bewildered. He remembered that he had secretly intruded into the training area of Yun Zhenxi's cave mansion. But now, all around heaven and earth, vast and boundless. The first thought of the figure in the beast robe was whether he had fallen into some kind of illusionary array. But he immediately dismissed the idea. Even the most powerful illusionary array is, after all, just an illusion. Deceiving the perception of an ordinary Jade immortal was one thing. But for him, a Jade immortal, the incredibly realistic spacetime fluctuations all around him, made the figure in the beast robe realize this was not an illusion at all. It was real spacetime. Jezi world, this is a Jezi world created by a top Jade immortal. The figure in the beast robe finally remembered something. Top Jade immortals, when comprehending the mysteries of spacetime and spending long periods in seclusion, could affect the area, causing phenomena similar to a spatial-temporal maze to form. This is the Jezi world. However, in the knowledge of the figure in the beast robe, even the Jezi worlds formed by the ancestor of the Immortal Path's direct disciples, who were in seclusion for years, were at most a few thousand or 10,000 miles in range. How could it be as vast and endless as it is now? This is also why the figure in the beast robe did not initially think of the Jezi world. The Jezi world before him differed too greatly from the normal Jezi world. What kind of existence could form a Jezi world on such a scale? The figure in the beast robe's mind trembled. Although there was no set standard for the size of a Jezi world, it must relate to the depth of the original Jade Immortal's comprehension of spacetime mysteries. Normally speaking, the more vast the Jiezi world and the more complex the spatial-temporal maze, the more terrifying the original Jade Immortal's insight into the mysteries of spacetime. And who could correspond to the Jiezi world in front of him? The figure in the beast robe dared not imagine. Rumbling. Before the figure in the beast robe could make any movement, the spacetime around him began to ripple, and like a lone boat in the vast sea, he was submerged under the sea in an instant. Which number is this? In the center of the training area, Lin Yuan opened his eyes, with all the numerous treasures and battle loot from the figure in the beast robe appearing before him. See the novel, Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Ever since 10 years ago when he revealed his skills as a top alchemy master, every so often, there would be mysterious Jade Immortals secretly infiltrating his cave mansion. Wishing to ascend to the heavens in one step to slay him, this top alchemy master, and obtain massive wealth. But unfortunately, most of these mysterious Jade Immortals couldn't even withstand the spatial-temporal maze unintentionally influenced by Lin Yuan while he comprehended the space-time rule, let alone survive. They provided Lin Yuan with a windfall. Those mysterious Jade Immortals who had the capability to traverse the defenses of the Immortal City's killing arrays were undoubtedly powerful, at least starting from top Jade Immortals, and their true combat power was terrifying, far surpassing Jade Immortals like Yun Jinzi. Such Jade Immortals naturally possessed significant wealth. One alone could suffice for Lin Yuan to refine numerous immortal pills. This is even more efficient than alchemy. Lin Yuan thought to himself, but also understood that the benefits brought by alchemy were long-term and stable. As for these mysterious Jade Immortals infiltrating his cave mansion, in the short term one might come after another, but over time, with Lin Yuan remaining unscathed, other Jade Immortals with designs on Lin Yuan would start to sense something amiss. A large number of mysterious Jade Immortals dying within Lin Yuan's cave mansion, even if not spread outside, but Lin Yuan's being alive and well was proof enough. Being able to cultivate to a Jade Immortal, none were fools. They would certainly deduce that Lin Yuan had an unpredictable trump card. Let's take a look at these battle loots. Lin Yuan diverted a shred of his mind to take stock of the numerous treasures obtained from the figure in the beast robe. Flying Immortal Hall. The Hall Master's expression changed slightly, as his gaze turned toward the Grade A Cave Mansion area, specifically to the Grade A Cave Mansion where Lin Yuan resided. Another Jade Immortal has infiltrated Master Yun Zhenxi's cave mansion? The Flying Immortal Hall Master had long been used to this. The Flying Immortal Hall is an essential institute of the Kangwu Immortal City, having absolute control over all the array and killing formations in the cave mansion area. Moreover, due to the cooperative relationship with Lin Yuan, the Flying Immortal Hall Master had long focused the large array in the cave mansion area, particularly on Lin Yuan's mansion. Those Jade Immortals who quietly infiltrated Lin Yuan's cave mansion, believing themselves to be silent, but a good number were detected in advance by the Flying Immortal Hall Master. When the Flying Immortal Hall Master first discovered a mysterious Jade Immortal infiltrating Lin Yuan's cave mansion, he was extremely nervous, immediately mobilized all the array formations in the cave mansion area to lock down space-time, and then rushed to the outside of the cave mansion in person to probe whether Lin Yuan was still there at the time. Only to see Lin Yuan emerge unharmed from the cave mansion, clearly stating that no Jade Immortal had infiltrated it. At first, the Flying Immortal Hall Master thought Lin Yuan was being coerced, but after repeated exchanges, even taking Lin Yuan out of the cave mansion area, it remained the same. He could only leave helplessly, feeling that there might be a problem with the Immortal City's big array, and that no Jade Immortal had actually infiltrated the cave mansion. But then came the second, the third. In the earlier instances, the Flying Immortal Hall Master was still very concerned about Lin Yuan's safety, but every time no discoveries were made and Lin Yuan remained fine without encountering any danger. As it happened more often, the Flying Immortal Hall Master felt there was something wrong. I didn't expect Master Yun Jinzi to be so deeply unassuming. The Vice Hall Master couldn't help but speak up. If it was just once or twice, it might really be a problem with the array, but after so many times, even the Vice Hall Master realized something. If the array was correct, then there truly were ill-intentioned Jade Immortals infiltrating the cave mansion. But in the end, Lin Yuan remained unharmed, and even though they didn't know exactly what happened in the middle, they could infer the process from the result and the beginning. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 909 The Arrival of the Demon Abyss. Subscribe please. 2 All the mysterious jade immortals who had infiltrated the cave mansion had, without exception, fallen to Lin Yuan's hands. After all, from the first time to now, the grand formation of Immortal City had only detected the fluctuations of someone sneaking in, without any sign of escape. So many jade immortals, and they all died inside Master Yun Zhenxi's cave mansion. The Hall Master of Flying Immortal Hall contemplated for a moment. This Master Yun Zhenxi truly is unfathomable. Normally, a battle between top-ranked jade immortals would not only be devastating, but at the very least cause a tremendous aftermath. However, there was never any disturbance within Lin Yuan's cave mansion. All the jade immortals who snuck in vanished without a trace, as if they had never appeared to begin with. This sent a chill down the spine of the Flying Immortal Hall Master, who couldn't reconcile these events with the usual gentle and amiable Lin Yuan. So what do we do now? The Vice Hall Master spoke in a low voice. What to do? The Flying Immortal Hall Master glanced over. Master Yun Zhenxi is an honored guest of Kangwu Immortal City. Although Lin Yuan had demonstrated inscrutable strength, so far, he had not taken any action that was detrimental to Kangwu Immortal City. As for those jade immortals who perished at Lin Yuan's hands? Infiltrating the cave mansion area of Immortal City on their own volition, even if Lin Yuan didn't kill them, Kangwu Immortal City would pursue them upon discovery. Therefore, the Hall Master of Flying Immortal Hall didn't plan to do anything, nor did he have the curiosity to investigate further. Every jade immortal has their own secret opportunities. Investigating a jade immortal's secret is tantamount to standing against them. The Hall Master of Flying Immortal Hall had no intention of becoming Lin Yuan's enemy. Inside the cave mansion, Lin Yuan tallied the spoils of war thoroughly. Adding it all up, it's about 70 to 80 million top-grade immortal crystals. Lin Yuan nodded to himself, quite satisfied. The wealth of a normal jade immortal would be around 1 million top-grade immortal crystals. 70 to 80 million top-grade immortal crystals accounted for a tremendous fortune. Keep in mind that most jade immortals convert resources into their own strength, to be used on their physical body and soul. The excess treasures and immortal artifacts amounting to 70 to 80 million top-grade immortal crystals would definitely be considered wealthy. Lin Yuan's gaze swept over the many spoils of war again and landed on a dagger. This dagger was entirely black, its power completely concealed, to the extent that even Lin Yuan did not sense any energy fluctuations. To thoroughly eliminate the jade immortals who infiltrated, Lin Yuan usually suppressed them in an instant, then used the Abyss Demon's memory contamination techniques to completely erase most of their life-saving measures. To prevent these jade immortals from reviving elsewhere with resurrection methods, spreading everything that happened inside the mansion. Over the past 500 or 600 years, Lin Yuan had secretly killed many demons and was quite familiar with their memory contamination techniques. Even if there were jade immortals who could resist such memory contamination, they would be like Yun Zhenxi, using methods such as severing karma and others. Wishing to revive would take tens of thousands of years later. By that time, Lin Yuan reckoned he would have already ended this traversal and returned to the main universe. This dagger. Before killing the beast-robed figure, Lin Yuan had also browsed through his memories, aware that the dagger was acquired by the beast-robed figure, taking a great risk in killing the offspring of the Lord of North Cold Immortal City. In the memory of the beast-robed figure, the dagger was extremely sharp, able to cut through anything. That's why, after obtaining this dagger, the beast-robed figure believed his strength had increased significantly. However, during the infiltration into Lin Yuan's cave mansion, from beginning to end, the beast-robed figure didn't even have the opportunity to see Lin Yuan before dying under the immense pressure of vast space and time. There was no chance to utilize the dagger. Sharp. Lin Yuan held the dagger and lightly drew it across the skin on his left arm. Suddenly, a wound appeared, then quickly healed. Indeed sharp. Lin Yuan was slightly astonished. His current Taiyang divine spirit, although not as strong as his true body in terms of physical toughness, was still above the level of a jade immortal, given the scale of the world within his body. The vast inner world, continuously nurturing world force, provided nourishment to the body and soul that was incomparable by any natural treasure. Even so, the dagger cut through his skin and flesh with ease. A 12-tier weapon? Lin Yuan scrutinized the black dagger but was still somewhat unsure. Via the novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The dagger gave Lin Yuan a feeling that it wasn't as simple as a 12-tier weapon. Even if it were a 12-tier weapon without any power infused into it, relying solely on the weapon's sharpness, it shouldn't have been able to slice his skin so effortlessly. At Lin Yuan's level, the so-called 12th-tier weapons mainly depend on who wields them. In the hands of the strongest, a 12th-tier weapon can shatter anything. However, in the hands of an ordinary Jade Immortal, it's just SOSO. Interesting. Lin Yuan dedicated a sliver of his consciousness to studying the Black Dagger, for with its keen edge, if utilized adeptly, it could become a significant aid to him. Time slips by. 100 years pass by in the blink of an eye. The 7th realm of the space-time rule? With furrowed brows and deep in thought, after a century of continuous comprehension and aided by various sources of immortal essence, Lin Yuan faintly felt that he was incredibly close to grasping the 7th realm of the space-time rule. He was just one step away from the threshold. Moreover, many other pillar-level fusion rules also saw a significant improvement, with each reaching the pinnacle of the 7th realm. No rush, take it slowly. Lin Yuan collected his thoughts and slowed his contemplation of the spatio-temporal fusion rule. However, in the past 100 years, Lin Yuan looked up slightly, his mind flashing with the many major events that occurred over that century. While Lin Yuan's focus was mostly on solitary cultivation and sense comprehension in his spare time, he still paid attention to the many major events happening in the immortal realm. And in the past century, the 33 domains of the immortal realm have been turbulent to say the least. With a multitude of demons descending from the demon abyss, countless immortals have met their deaths at the hands of these fiends. The war between immortals and demons had already been raging for decades. Compared to the past battles, the cruelty of this war was beyond measure. In previous conflicts, immortal cities were impregnable fortresses that no amount of demons could breach. However, in this war, within just few decades, 3 immortal cities were breached and innumerable immortals were devoured by demons. The ancestor of the immortal path is not intervening? Lin Yuan's eyebrows knitted slightly as he looked again towards the irregular rift in the sky. With Lin Yuan's current perception of space and time, he could clearly sense the vast fluctuations of the ancestor of the immortal path's aura. Is it because he is in closed-door cultivation? Lin Yuan speculated in his heart, inevitably puzzled. For the ancestor of the immortal path, all the immortals in the immortal realm are the foundation of the immortal cultivation system, and it shouldn't be to the point of negligence unless he really cannot extricate himself. But it has nothing to do with me. After pondering for a while, Lin Yuan summoned Yun Jinzi and ordered, "I'm going into closed-door cultivation soon. Unless it's a matter of utmost urgency, do not disturb me." Lin Yuan had a premonition that he was just one step away from the 7th realm of the space-time rule, and thus all his attention would be on comprehending the space-time rule, utilizing the accumulated immortal essence of over 100 years continuously during this period. In order to comprehend the 7th realm of the space-time rule as soon as possible, Lin Yuan even slowed down the development and refinement of the Martial Tao first-tier chapter. As for what happened in the outside world, unless it truly affected him, he would not concern himself with it. Yes. Yun Jinzi responded respectfully. Kangwu Immortal City. The most central hall. All the top leaders and high-ranking officials of the Immortal City had gathered here. The atmosphere in the hall was heavy, and the top-tier Jade Immortals fell silent. Alright, there's no need for despair. It's just a large group of demons converging towards our Kangwu Immortal City. It's not like we can't withstand them, the Immortal City's lord said slowly. Not long ago, Kangwu Immortal City received intelligence. About 70% of the demons within the Shentian Immortal Domain were slowly converging towards the area where Kangwu Immortal City was located. This was not auspicious as it was highly likely that these demons had set their sights on Kangwu Immortal City. If this were the case, the city would face an unprecedentedly bitter struggle soon. If it were any of the past wars between immortals and demons, the city's top leaders and high-ranking officials wouldn't be especially grave, but only a few decades into this war, 3 immortal cities had already fallen into the hands of demons. Could Kangwu Immortal City become the 4th to fall? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 9-10 The Sky Tilting Palm, please subscribe, soon. The meeting of all the senior executives of Kangwu Immortal City hastily concluded. Although the Lord of the Immortal City expressed great confidence, believing that with the foundation of Kangwu Immortal City, it would definitely not meet the same fate as the previous 3 immortal cities. Nonetheless, many of the senior figures of the Immortal City still harbored concerns. Better safe than sorry. Inside the Flying Immortal Hall. After the Hall Master of the Flying Immortal Hall returned, the solemnity on his face never eased. A moment passed. The Hall Master of the Flying Immortal Hall walked out from the Flying Immortal Hall and approached a Grade A cave mansion. "I wish to see Master Yun Jinzi," declared the Hall Master of the Flying Immortal Hall, stating his purpose. With numerous demonic beings converging, Kangwu Immortal City was in jeopardy of being overturned. The Hall Master decided to come and alert Lin Yuan. As one of the high-ranking executives of Kangwu Immortal City, he couldn't possibly abandon the city, but Lin Yuan was different. His ties with Kangwu Immortal City weren't as deep, and he definitely had the means to disengage himself and leave. "My master is in closed-door cultivation. If the Hall Master has any matters, you can tell me directly and I will inform my master," Yun Jinzi spoke softly. Over the recent 200 years, the Hall Master of Flying Immortal Hall frequently visited Lin Yuan, and knowing their good relationship, Yun Jinzi certainly did not dare to neglect. "Tell you?" The Hall Master of the Flying Immortal Hall fell silent for a while. The gathering of a large number of demonic beings towards the region of Kangwu Immortal City was a top-secret matter within the city. Should it leak out, it could very likely cause many immortals of the city to flee in advance. Even the Hall Master of the Flying Immortal Hall only dared to remind Lin Yuan in person. To tell this servant before him and then have him relay the message to Lin Yuan? There was still the risk of it leaking out. "If the master emerges from seclusion, let me know," said the Hall Master of the Flying Immortal Hall, and then he turned and left. Now that Kangwu Immortal City had entered the highest state of alert, the Hall Master of the Flying Immortal Hall also had many tasks to attend to, thus he decided to wait until Lin Yuan finished his seclusion before alerting him. Billions of miles away from Kangwu Immortal City, countless demonic beings converged, filled with terrifying demonic chi, and it even subtly began to transform the immortal realm towards the demon abyss. Among the multitude of demonic beings, 6 colossal figures stood prominently, their presence profound, seemingly like miniature demon abysses, with numerous demonic beings around worshipping these 6 colossal figures. Nearly all demonic beings possess very low intelligence, basically running on mere instinct. However, among the infinite demonic beings, there's a minuscule chance that an emperor of demonic beings is born. These emperors, having devoured countless demonic beings and aggregated a portion of the essence from the ancestor of the demon abyss, thereby gain sentience. In some ways, these emperors of demonic beings are akin to the incarnations of the ancestor of the demon abyss, and hence they possess the ability to command and control other demonic beings. The emperors of demonic beings born from the infinite demonic ranks have extremely terrifying strength. In past wars between immortals and demons, at most only one emperor of demonic beings would appear. But in this war between immortals and demons, the number of emperors of demonic beings surpassed those in all previous wars, which is also the reason why 3 immortal cities were successively breached in recent decades. An emperor of demonic beings, leading a large number of demonic beings, could at most rampage outside the immortal city, unable to breach it. However, 2 or 3 or even 5 emperors of demonic beings joining forces would have a substantial chance of breaking through an immortal city. Kangwu Immortal City, such tasty food. The emperor of demonic beings eyed the distance, exactly where Kangwu Immortal City was located. Ordinary demonic beings devouring immortals at the Transcendence Tribulation stage or the Mahayana realm was already an ultimate delicacy, but to emperors of demonic beings, even a golden immortal wasn't regarded highly. The emperors of demonic beings most desired to devour jade immortals. The stronger the jade immortals, the greater the aid to the emperors of demonic beings. However, unfortunately, jade immortals were too rare. Across the vast expanse of the 33 immortal domains, jade immortals were mostly concentrated in the immortal cities, which was why the emperors of demonic beings collaborated to breach the immortal cities. Not only could their subordinate demonic beings feast on a large number of immortals, but these emperors of demonic beings could also partake in many jade immortals. "The power we have gathered now is almost enough. We can make a move towards Kangwu Immortal City," a leading emperor of demonic beings spoke out. As emperors of demonic beings, being wise, they had already begun to assess the situation. Not willing to act before they were certain they could breach Kangwu Immortal City, they would only patiently wait until the gathered force could decisively tear through Kangwu Immortal City. "Good. If we breach Kangwu Immortal City this time, I want to devour at least 20 jade immortals." An emperor of demonic beings to the right spoke, emerging from devouring countless demonic beings. But devouring demonic beings and devouring immortals weren't the same at all. To the emperors of demonic beings, devouring demonic beings was merely a quantitative accumulation, such as healing injuries through consuming a large number of demonic beings. But devouring immortals? It's more like a compliment to themselves in some aspect. In their very instincts, the emperors of demonic beings knew, the more immortals they devoured, the more complete they themselves became. 20 immortals? An emperor of demonic beings to the left roared, I also want 20 jade immortals. Ordinary jade immortals are all yours, but those top jade immortals, they are mine, the leading emperor also chimed in. Top jade immortals were more beneficial to the emperors of demonic beings, but comparatively, top jade immortals were much rarer and more difficult to deal with. Years later, under the lead of the 6 emperors of demonic beings, the near-infinite demonic beings had already arrived outside Kangwu Immortal City. Evil and twisted demonic chi blanketed the air, and only at this moment did the many immortals of Kangwu Immortal City realize the dire situation they were in. Demonic beings have come to kill? What do we do? What do we do? I heard that these demonic beings have already breached 3 immortal cities. Let's go out, I want to flee. Go out? Inside the immortal city, relying on the city's protection, there is still a chance to survive, but fleeing? I'm afraid you'd be devoured by those demonic beings immediately. Inside Kangwu Immortal City, after a brief moment of panic, the many immortals somewhat calmed down. Every immortal who had cultivated to the Transcendence Tribulation stage was cunning and quick-witted. They quickly realized that hiding within the immortal city was their only chance for survival. Fellow Taoists, the demonic beings are just outside. To withstand these demonic beings, we need the power of all Taoists. The voice of the immortal city's master instantaneously appeared in the ears of all immortals. Now, all Taoists, channel all your mana and immortal power into the ground of the immortal city. The enormous Kangwu Immortal City, built over generations by Jade Immortals, had long become a large-scale war immortal artifact. And to activate this large-scale war immortal artifact, it relied solely on a vast number of immortals. Only in this way could the power of Kangwu Immortal City be fully unleashed. The power of the Emperor of Demonic Beings surpasses that of top-tier Jade Immortals, coupled with endless demonic creatures. To deal with them, one must rely on Kangwu Immortal City. Only by unleashing the power of Kangwu Immortal City, this colossal war immortal artifact, can there be hope to resist the Emperor of Demonic Beings and the infinite demonic creatures. The many immortals within the city, also realizing the dire situation, hesitated not to pour all their mana and immortal power into the ground of the immortal city. Rumbling loudly, the massive Kangwu Immortal City, as if coming to life, burst forth with terrifying radiance, spreading towards all directions. Countless demonic creatures at the edges, unable to evacuate in time, were instantly pulverized. Humph, relying on the power of the immortal city again, the same old tactic. Deep within the endless demonic creatures, 6 emperors of demonic beings watched with cold detachment. Their combined strength was such that they could confront Kangwu Immortal City head-on and even suppress it. But to ensure their safety, they still sent out a large number of demonic creatures to approach Kangwu Immortal City actively. Millions, tens of millions, and hundreds of millions of demonic creatures died under the envelopment of the celestial radiance, also depleting a considerable part of Kangwu Immortal City's foundation. Where is the Emperor of Demonic Beings? Within the city, the Lord and other top brass were slightly anxious. With so many demonic creatures gathering outside the city, there must be an Emperor of Demonic Beings covertly commanding them. The ultimate strike of the Immortal City was also reserved for that Emperor of Demonic Beings. Only by killing or severely wounding the Emperor of Demonic Beings is there hope for victory, otherwise the Emperor will continually summon an endless stream of demonic creatures to attack the city. Time passed by. The endless stream of demonic creatures did not diminish at all. The Lord of the Immortal City and other top brass began to despair. At that moment, a hazy black demonic chi quietly spread closer. 6 towering figures suddenly appeared in front of Kangwu Immortal City, raising their right hands and pressing down. Not good. The faces of the Lord of the Immortal City and other top brass drastically changed. 6 emperors of demonic beings, there are actually 6 emperors of demonic beings. The Lord of the Immortal City felt parts of the city's structure collapsing. The 6 emperors of demonic beings had been hiding in the shadows, using endless demonic creatures to deplete most of the city's power before appearing silently to deliver a fatal blow. It's over. Despair surged within the heart of the Lord of the Immortal City. He even felt that if it weren't for trying to take Kangwu Immortal City without damage, the 6 emperors of demonic beings might not have given their all. Otherwise, Kangwu Immortal City would have been breached long ago. Demonic creatures have entered the city already. The Lord of the Immortal City looked downward, vaguely seeing countless demonic chi seeping into the city walls. The demonic creatures have broken in. Run. Run? Where can we run to? Outside are demonic creatures. Now they have come inside. Where can we run to? Since we can't escape, let's fight the demonic creatures. Inside the immortal city, it was utter chaos. Many immortals were panicked or resolute, and some fled deeper into the city. Cave Mansion area. Yun Jinzi, through the grand formation of the cave mansion, observed the entire situation of the immortal city. Is the immortal city about to fall? Yun Zenzi's face turned pale as he looked towards the exterior of the city, where the 6 towering emperors of demonic beings and the endless stream of incoming demonic creatures were. Master. Quickly informed the master. Before the appearance of the 6 emperors of demonic beings, Kangwu Immortal City was on the upper hand against the invasion of the endless demonic creatures, slaying as many as approached. Sir the Nephire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Until the 6 emperors took action, the situation reversed instantly, making Yun Jinzi realize something terrible was about to happen. Cultivation area. Lin Yuan's brows furrowed deeply. Is the immortal city about to be breached? Upon receiving Yun Zenzi's notification, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. He felt he was just a whisper away from the spacetime 7th realm. A few more years of secluded cultivation, maybe even just a few months, would allow him to step into a whole new level of the spacetime domain. Has the situation gotten this dire? Lin Yuan stood up, walked out of the cultivation area and joined Yun Jinzi. Through the grand formation of the cave mansion, he looked towards the entire situation of the immortal city. Master, what should we do now? There are 6 emperors of demonic beings outside. Yun Zenzi's voice trembled slightly. Having experienced more than one battle between immortals and demons, he knew how terrifying the emperors of demonic beings were. They were the terrifying beings that surpassed the top-tier Jade immortals. What to do? Lin Yuan was not in a good mood, glanced at Yun Jinzi with his pallid face, stretched out his arm and casually reached towards the sky. In an instant, all the infinite demonic creatures vanished without a trace, as if wiped from existence. Outside Kangwu Immortal City, the sky cleared and all was silent. Yun Zenzi's mouth fell open. Because at that moment he clearly saw Lin Yuan, with one hand, grab and hold the myriad demonic creatures and the 6 emperors of demonic beings. Those 6 towering emperors of demonic beings were no match for even 1/10 of Lin Yuan's finger, caught between his fingers. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 911 The 7th Realm of Space and Time. Subscription requested. The Emperor of Demonic Beings is very special. His level of power far surpasses that of the top Jade Immortals. After all, the demonic creatures are but a condensation of a wisp of demonic chi from the ancestor of the demon abyss. And the Emperor of Demonic Beings is the ultimate form born from the endless sea of demonic creatures. It's not an exaggeration to say that he is an incarnation of the ancestor of the demon abyss. Therefore, in the numerous wars between immortals and demons, what the immortals of the immortal realm dread the most is the Emperor of Demonic Beings. Sar the Novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. As for the ordinary demonic creatures, even in endless numbers, they could not possibly breach the defense formations of the great immortal cities. As long as they endure until the passage to the demon abyss dissipates, that will be enough. Having experienced several wars between immortals and demons, Yun Jinzi is well aware of the terror of the Emperor of Demonic Beings. Even with the help of an immortal city, a massive war immortal artifact, at best one can only inflict severe injuries, with virtually no hope of achieving a kill. However, now, in the eyes of Yun Jinzi, the power of an entire immortal city can barely rival the Emperor of Demonic Beings, yet he is now struggling desperately between the fingers of Lin Yuan. Master. Yun Zenzi's mind seems to be in a muddle. When he first entered the spirit world of Lin Yuan, he witnessed that towering figure symbolizing unparalleled spiritual will, leaving Yun Jinzi almost believing that Lin Yuan might be the ancestor of the immortal path, the supreme being. But Yun Jinzi soon abandoned this thought, as there are significant differences between the ancestor of the immortal path and Lin Yuan. The ancestor of the immortal path resides high in the origin of the immortal realm, looking down upon all immortals, obviously not the case for Lin Yuan. Over the years, Lin Yuan has displayed horrific alchemy skills and means beyond what even top Jade immortals could match, but there's still a large gap between him and the ancestor of the immortal path. But now, Yun Jinzi is once again plunged into confusion. single-handedly capturing a sky full of demonic creatures, among which there are 6 emperors of demonic beings, who other than the ancestor of the immortal path could perform such a feat. Jade Immortals? No matter how many Jade Immortals there are, as long as they dare to leave the immortal city and lose its protection, they are nothing but delectable food in the eyes of the emperor of demonic beings. Since the emergence of the demon abyss, there has never been a case where a Jade Immortal, relying solely on their own power, has managed to briefly contend with the emperor of demonic beings. If they cannot even contend, let alone suppress, and here it's suppressing 6 at once. Emperor of demonic beings? Lin Yuan looks at his right palm, his gaze falling on those 6 emperors of demonic beings. About to step into the 7th realm of space-time, almost reaching the threshold of this level, only to be interrupted by these demonic beings, causing Lin Yuan slight impatience. Therefore he took direct action. If saying when Lin Yuan first arrived in the immortal realm, he needed to keep a low profile, endure when possible, to avoid attracting the attention of the ancestor of the immortal path or the ancestor of the demon abyss prematurely, then now, with the breakthrough to the 7th realm of spacetime imminent, there is no longer any need to deliberately endure. Even now, Lin Yuan already possesses some of the characteristics of the 7th realm of spacetime. For example, suppressing the 6 emperors of demonic beings with a single palm. Such suppression is not about absolute power. Currently, Lin Yuan's Taiyang divine spirit, aside from the spiritual will, is not necessarily stronger in other aspects than an individual emperor of demonic beings. Upon advancing to the 2nd layer in the immortal realm, there is no such thing as being instilled with the origin source of the immortal realm. Therefore, even with the mystical gourd blessing, the world within the Taiyang divine spirit is only a few 100 million miles in circumference. In terms of the physical body, the vast majority of resources obtained in the immortal realm are sent as much as possible to the true body, the origin. The strength of the Taiyang divine spirit's physical body is approximately at the level of a regular emperor of demonic beings. The endless demonic creatures and the 6 emperors of demonic beings struggle in vain in the palm of Lin Yuan's hand, the root cause being the suppression of the spacetime domain. Lin Yuan suppresses all the demonic beings firmly with the spacetime rule domain. With Lin Yuan's current understanding of spacetime, even if he truly faces the ancestor of the immortal path or the ancestor of the demon abyss, he would still manage with ease. The key point is that, at this moment, the one acting is merely the Taiyang divine spirit, which can be completely discarded when necessary. The true body, the origin, resides in hidden, unknown places isolated by the cause and effect of spacetime, and even the ultimate beings of the 12th layer, such as the ancestor of the immortal path, would take a tremendous amount of time to locate and lock onto it. So, at this moment Lin Yuan, in this immortal realm, essentially has nothing left to be cautious or wary of, and once he fully steps into the 7th realm of spacetime, he will be truly unhindered and fearless. These emperors of demonic beings, Lin Yuan examines the 6 emperors of demonic beings caught between his fingers, and even though he's suppressing these demonic creatures at a rule level, Lin Yuan does not underestimate them, for after all, these emperors of demonic beings essentially arose from the ancestor of the demon abyss and are part of this ultimate being of the 12th layer. This feeling? Lin Yuan frowns, observing the ordinary demonic creatures is still manageable, but these emperors of demonic beings show an aspect utterly opposite to those practicing the immortal cultivation system, like the contrast between white and black, life and death. Where is this? What place is this? To Lin Yuan's scrutiny, the 6 emperors of demonic beings have no self-awareness, but suddenly finding themselves in a different world, each becomes extremely panicked. They were born in the demon abyss, and apart from the omnipresent ancestor of the demon abyss, they have never experienced such fear. Why can't I feel the demon abyss anymore? Right, I can't feel it either. One by one, the emperors of demonic beings' scalps explode, for to these demonic creatures, the demon abyss is far more than just their lair. It bears the effect of something akin to a source-origin connection. Any emperor of demonic beings can always sense the presence of the demon abyss and can instantly return to the demon abyss if they wish. But now, the vast, nearly equal to the immortal realm demon abyss, has disappeared into thin air. To be precise, it's not that the demon abyss has disappeared, but they can no longer sense the existence of the demon abyss. They are of no use to me at the moment. After observing for a moment, Lin Yuan lightly shakes his head and exhales softly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 9:12 The 7th Realm of Spacetime. Please subscribe. _2 In an instant, within the palm-sized universe, spacetime collapsed, endless demonic creatures turned into dust before the boiling spacetime, and the sixth emperor of demonic beings persisted for a few moments before also becoming nothing but ashes. All the demonic creatures were shattered by the power of spacetime, then transformed into the most primordial demonic chi by the primal force. This most primordial demonic chi, which belongs to the ancestor of the demon abyss, was suppressed by Lin Yuan as part of his research on the ancestor of the demon abyss lying dormant in the depths of the demon abyss. Just after the foremost emperor of demonic beings among the six utterly perished billions of miles away from Kangwu Immortal City, the remaining demonic chi converged, once again forming a silhouette. However, compared to the majestic stature of a normal emperor of demonic beings, this silhouette had shrunk significantly, and its aura was weak, having fallen to the level of an ordinary jade immortal. I survived. The emperor of demonic beings was ecstatic. Most emperors of demonic beings were invincible in their own right, with no need to prepare any means of survival. However, this emperor of demonic beings was naturally cautious, and even when attacking the nearly invincible Kangwu Immortal City, it had left a will hidden elsewhere in advance. Sure enough, this now came into great use. With the physical body perished, the will resurrected, it was like having come back to life. Demon Abyss. Without hesitation, the emperor of demonic beings called upon the demon abyss, seeking to escape into its depths. From beginning to end, it never knew why its true self died, nor who had killed it. But that did not stop the fear of the emperor of demonic beings. If it did not escape now, there would be truly no chance to flee. Buzz buzz buzz. The vast phantom of the demon abyss descended. Like a colossal mouth that sought to swallow the emperor of demonic beings in one gulp. But the next moment, a gigantic hand composed entirely of spacetime stretched out. It forcibly snatched the emperor of the demon abyss right from under that colossal maw. The demon abyss power lingered for a while, but eventually dissipated swiftly. Still trying to run? Lin Yuan looked at the ant-like creature within his palm and casually crushed it, suppressing the primordial demonic chi once more. No response from the ancestor of the immortal path yet? Since taking action, most of Lin Yuan's attention had not been on the demonic beings but rather upon the origin of the immortal realm, watching for any movements from the ancestor of the immortal path. With a palm, Lin Yuan had captured the heavens full of demonic beings, showing a strength close to that of the 12th grade, which might alert the ancestor of the immortal path. In fact, this was also Lin Yuan's test for the ancestor of the immortal path, wanting to understand exactly what state the other party was in. Forget it. After waiting a moment and seeing that the origin of the immortal realm still showed no reaction, Lin Yuan simply turned and entered the cultivation area, planning to take that final step and step into the 7th realm of spacetime. Lin Yuan effortlessly resolved all the demonic beings, and even before the face of the demon abyss, he captured an emperor of the demon abyss, then turned around to continue his seclusion. It seemed like a long time had passed, but in reality, it was only a few breaths worth of time. In Kangwu Immortal City, countless immortals were fleeing in panic, desperate one moment, and in the next, they found that the endless swarm of demonic beings that had shaken the entire immortal city to the brink had vanished. It wasn't the disappearance of one or a few, but all had vanished. If not for the collapsed structures and ground within the city, many immortals would probably think what they just experienced was an illusion. Where are the demonic beings? What happened? Not sure. Where are those demonic beings? Could it be that they retreated? Countless immortals were somewhat dumbfounded as they exchanged information rapidly, but overall, there was a collective sigh of relief. Compared to the many confused immortals, the numerous high-ranking leaders of Kangwu Immortal City were shocked. The demonic beings retreated? Absolutely impossible for them to retreat. That's right, 60% of the defensive formations of Kangwu Immortal City have collapsed. If they continued a bit longer, those 6 emperors of demonic beings could have breached the city. Retreat at this moment? Correct. The high-ranking officials of the Immortal City are far more informed than the other immortals, and they are well aware of the extent to which the defense formation of Kangwu Immortal City is on the brink of collapse. As much as they are reluctant to accept it, the many Jade Immortals can ascertain that the fate of Kangwu Immortal City will be consumption by endless demonic beings. These top-tier Jade Immortals will also be devoured by those Emperor of Demonic Beings. But at the last moment, all the demonic beings disappeared? The high-ranking officials of the Immortal City are not fools. They are well aware of the nature of these demonic beings and that they would not give up prey that is within their grasp. They haven't retreated. Could it be that they were dealt with? Dealt with? Did Ancestral Master make his move? The Immortal City Lord's mind stirred. The sixth Emperor of demonic beings could tear open the Immortal City's defense formation when working in unison. Apart from the exalted Ancestral Master, he could not conceive of any other being capable of resolving the situation so effortlessly. My ancestor among the many top-tier Jade Immortals, a young-looking Jade Immortal hesitated slightly, then shook his head and spoke. As a disciple of the Ancestral Master, he knew that the Ancestral Master would definitely not take action during this time, otherwise he would not have allowed 3 immortal cities to be breached. It wasn't the Ancestral Master who acted? The City Lord of the Immortal City and other high-ranking figures fell into silence, mostly convinced. Sir, the novel, Ire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After all, if Ancestral Master had made a move, the divine presence of the immortal realm would enshroud the entire immortal realm. All demonic beings would retreat, and even the demon abyss would keep its distance. But now, besides Kangwu Immortal City, the other domains in the immortal realm are still ravaged by demonic beings. This does not align with the scenario where Ancestral Master would intervene. However, if it wasn't Ancestral Master who acted, then who would have intervened? Apart from Ancestral Master, who else in the immortal realm could possibly have the means to resolve 6 Emperor of demonic beings in an instant? The City Lord of Immortal City and other high-level officials could not understand. Have you noticed something amiss with the cave mansion area of our immortal city? While the many high-ranking officials of the immortal city were in deep contemplation, a Vice City Lord began to check the overall situation of the immortal city and immediately discovered the anomaly. Under the siege of infinite demonic beings and the 6th Emperor of demonic beings, the defense formation of Kangwu Immortal City had collapsed a great deal, and its internal formations were likewise damaged extensively. Now the entirety of Kangwu Immortal City looks like a sieve full of holes, where one can see from one end to the other. The numerous lofty officials who had partial control over the Immortal City's formation were able to observe the entire Immortal City without any impediment from beginning to end. After all, Kangwu Immortal City is now akin to half a ruin, with most formations collapsed, making it difficult to conceal any secrets. Under such circumstances, the cave mansion area of the Immortal City, one particular Grade A cave mansion, remained intact, in stark contrast with other Grade A mansions around it. If it were just like that, it would be let go. Maybe it was just the luck of this specific mansion that prevented it from being affected by the repercussions. But now this Deputy City Lord, using the remaining authority of the Immortal City's formation, was still unable to peek into that Grade A cave mansion. He immediately sensed that something was amiss. Moreover, during the demonic siege on the city, all immortals from the mansion area had mostly fled their domiciles. Apart from this Grade A mansion, the rest were all empty. Such anomalies naturally caught the attention of the many high-ranking officials of the Immortal City. This mansion, the City Lord of the Immortal City's expression shifted slightly. As a top-tier Jade Immortal, he also noted that in contrast to the panicked owners of other mansions, this Grade A mansion seemed incredibly composed, showing no sign of fleeing. It was as if they had already known that the demonic beings outside would be taken care of. This made the officials of the Immortal City cannot help but speculate. Might the owner of this Grade A mansion have some connection with the being who resolved the demonic beings outside the Immortal City? Is it Master Yun Zenxi's mansion? The Hall Master of Flying Immortal Hall was also somewhat incredulous. You know the owner of this mansion? The City Lord of the Immortal City's gaze immediately shifted over, and other high-ranking officials also turned their attention. The information on the owners of Grade A mansions within the Immortal City was accessible to many of the Jade Immortals present. But knowing the identity of the mansion's owner does not mean they are acquainted. Within the mansion. At this moment, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged with bursts of enlightenment flashing in his mind. Without the disturbances from those demonic beings outside, Lin Yuan continued to rapidly advance in his comprehension of space-time, approaching the final leap. Space-time, so this is space-time. Lin Yuan opened his eyes, a smile appearing on his face. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 913 The Confusion of the Ancestor of the Demon Abyss. Please subscribe. Lin Yuan stepped into the 7th realm of time-space without any obstacles. When a great amount of spiritual enlightenment converged, Lin Yuan realized the essence of the 7th realm of time-space. Lin Yuan's accumulation was too profound, coupled with the immortal realm's special cultivation environment and the scenes from the origin of the immortal realm condensed by the source of immortality, among others. The result of many layers of foundation overlapping. Of course, among all the foundations, the most crucial was Lin Yuan's Against Heaven's understanding. Without Against Heaven's understanding to integrate everything, even if the conditions mentioned above were strengthened tenfold, it would be meaningless. Within the immortal realm, which of the direct disciples of the ancestor of the immortal path did not have a cultivation environment and resources superior to Lin Yuan's? Some could even directly enter the origin of the immortal realm to cultivate. But so far, none of the ancestral master's disciples have stepped into the seventh realm in their comprehension of time-space. Not to mention the disciples of the ancestral master, even the ancestral master himself has never touched the seventh realm regarding time-space understanding. So that's how it is. Lin Yuan came to a realization, and after reaching the seventh realm of time-space comprehension, the time-space he felt seemed to come alive. It was not that time-space had come alive, but rather that time-space was always alive, constantly changing. Lin Yuan was previously unable to feel or observe it. Time-space, this is time-space. Lin Yuan's gaze was distant, and the time-space of the entire immortal realm became completely visible to him, and even the time-space of the demon abyss beyond the immortal realm became apparent in his eyes. It turns out that the immortal realm and the demon abyss are the same world, but because the fundamental rules are different, obvious distinctions arise. Lin Yuan suddenly understood. Previously he thought that the demon abyss was just a layer within the space of the immortal realm, but in fact the demon abyss belongs to the main space of the immortal realm, and to the demon abyss, the immortal realm might not even hold a dominant position. The immortal realm and the demon abyss are equal, with no distinction of primary and secondary. A subordinate world of the immortal realm? Lin Yuan's gaze shifted. Following the vast and endless power of time-space, he looked beyond the immortal realm. The realm of the immortal realm is supremely lofty, at the pinnacle of this dimension. However, below the immortal realm, there are 3,333 worlds rising and falling. Among these 3,333 worlds, the spirit realm where Lin Yuan once descended was unmistakably among them. And below these 3,333 worlds, each world is connected to over 1,000,000 lower-level worlds, including the world of the central divine China. 3,333? This number again? Lin Yuan pondered for a moment, then withdrew his gaze. With his current mastery over time-space, if he wished, he could descend to any world within this dimension. But it's meaningless. Lower-level worlds would probably struggle even to accommodate Lin Yuan, like how the world of central divine China previously would have been smaller than the world within Lin Yuan's body. What good would descending there do? My current strength. Lin Yuan began to review his own strength. According to the information left by Xian Huang and the Moyu Tower Master, normally only a 12th-layer sovereign could reach the 7th realm of time-space. A few of the very top path-splitting 12th layers also have a chance to touch it. That is to say, with only his comprehension of time-space, Lin Yuan is now superior to the vast majority of 12th-layer path-splitting beings. With time-space comprehension in direct combat, Lin Yuan is not a match for the ultimate 12th layers, but he can completely use his comprehension of time-space to play with those ultimate 12th layers. Just like with the Shenhuang secret realm, which obviously opens once every tens of thousands of years deep within the main universe's time-space, yet all the ultimate 12th layers can't lock onto its coordinates. This is suppression from the rule level. This is the 7th realm of time-space. Lin Yuan thought rapidly to himself. For nearly all life forms, the difficulty of realizing the 7th realm of time-space is greater than achieving the ultimate form. After all, most of the 12th-layer path-splitting realm powerhouses have not reached the 7th realm in their time-space comprehension. Now Lin Yuan's thoughts stirred, and after his comprehension of time-space entered the 7th realm, with but a thought, his true body and primordial spirit, as well as his many avatars, all merged into the depths of time-space. Even the ultimate 12th layers couldn't detect the slightest trace unless Lin Yuan chose to reveal himself. Simply put, the current Lin Yuan is like a high-dimensional observer. Even the ultimate 12th layers are unable to perceive him if their rule comprehension hasn't reached a certain height. Time-space can be used in this way too? Lin Yuan continued to sense the changes within himself. After reaching the 7th realm of time-space comprehension, the vast time-space before Lin Yuan's eyes seemed to change its appearance, and many previously incomprehensible mysteries of time-space were now all deciphered effortlessly. While Lin Yuan continued to meditate and familiarize himself with the 7th realm of time-space, Outside the cave dwelling, the immortal city's lord and numerous high-ranking powerhouses gathered. They looked nervous and slightly uneasy, sensing that Lin Yuan's dwelling was out of sync with the surrounding environment, and speculating that Lin Yuan might be related to the one who took action against those demonic beings outside the city. After short communications, the immortal city's lord and the high-ranking powerhouses left Kangwu Immortal City, which had nearly become ruins, to visit Lin Yuan at the first opportunity. They had no choice. If Lin Yuan really was related to that powerful being who had acted, their first task wasn't to restore Kangwu Immortal City but to understand the thoughts of that powerful existence, as well as to see if there were any demands. After all, the intervention couldn't have been without reason. Without understanding these, the Immortal City's lord and the high-ranking powerhouses wouldn't be able to sleep peacefully, let alone stabilize the situation in Kangwu Immortal City. City Lord Yun Jinzi, acting as the housekeeper of the dwelling, immediately opened the gate and came out. If this were before, facing the joint arrival of the Immortal City's lord and other high-ranking powerhouses, Yun Jinzi would be somewhat nervous, given that these were figures she could not even look up to a myriad of years ago. Even among Jade Immortals the gap would be even greater, and the former Yun Jinzi, while strong among ordinary Jade Immortals, was far inferior to the top Jade Immortals. And now, the current visitors are not just ordinary Jade Immortals, their backgrounds are incomparable to Yun Zenzi's. But now, recalling Lin Yuan's effortless grasp of the myriad demonic beings just a moment ago, Yun Jinzi stood up straight, with dignity and assertiveness and said, "Gentlemen, what brings you here? Is the master present inside?" The Immortal City's lord and other Jade Immortals exchanged looks. The city lord spoke up proactively. "The master is in seclusion," Yun Jinzi replied succinctly. This was also instructed by Lin Yuan before he began his cultivation retreat, that anyone who wanted to visit him should be rejected under this pretext. Search * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Unless something truly critical had occurred that affected the entirety of the Immortal City. In retreat. The Lord of the Immortal City paused slightly, surprised. The other giants behind him also felt a shiver in their hearts. In retreat? At a time like this? Kangwu Immortal City had just survived a near-catastrophic crisis, and all immortals, including many top Jade Immortals like the City Lord himself, could have been devoured by countless demonic creatures. At this moment, for the many immortals, it was like escaping from the jaws of death. How could they possibly be in the mood for cultivation retreats? Furthermore, the current situation outside the city was still unclear. If subsequent attacks by demonic creatures occurred, Kangwu Immortal City might be in danger again, making it even less likely for any immortals to enter retreat. Yet Lin Yuan was in retreat? The response from Yun Jinzi made the city lord and other high-level leaders reflect on many things. Before they arrived, they had merely speculated that the owner of this great cave dwelling might be related to the mysterious entity that dealt with the demonic creatures outside the city. The likelihood was about 40 to 50%. But now this probability had increased to 70 to 80%. Because entering retreat at this moment was simply too unreasonable, unless one did not place these demonic creatures in his eyes at all. And that matched the actions of the mysterious entity that intervened. "May I inquire if your master is aware of who took action against those demonic creatures outside the city just now?" The Lord of the Immortal City took a deep breath, carefully phrased his words and asked cautiously, "Who took action against the demonic creatures?" Yun Jinzi hesitated somewhat. Of course he knew who had acted. It was Lin Yuan who with a mere flip of his hand had captured the boundless demonic creatures. But Lin Yuan did not allow him to speak of this matter. Nor did he forbid him from doing so. That's why Yun Jinzi was hesitant. "I will go and ask my master." After much deliberation, Yun Jinzi still decided to confirm with Lin Yuan. "Go and ask the master." The hearts of the city lord and other high-level leaders trembled once again. Yun Jinzi did not answer with ignorance. But instead he said he needed to ask the master. What did this imply? It meant that not only might the owner of the dwelling be aware, but even the servant before them likely knew who the mysterious entity that had acted was. It was merely a matter of asking the master to see if it could be disclosed to outsiders. "Very well, go and ask. We will wait here." The Lord of the Immortal City immediately forced a smile, and the other high-level leaders did the same. At this moment, they harbored an even more terrifying conjecture. Maybe the owner of this dwelling was not only related to that mysterious powerhouse, but perhaps he was the mysterious powerhouse himself? Another side of the immortal realm. This place is immensely dark and profound, filled with pitch-black demonic chi. Endless demonic creatures are born here, fighting and dying. This is the demon abyss, the birthplace of all demonic beings, and also the resting place of the ancestor of the demon abyss. Deep within the demon abyss, a colossal consciousness is slowly awakening. The demonic chi it randomly released condensed into numerous demonic creatures, which fought and devoured each other, eventually giving rise to several emperors of demonic beings. One of my children has died? Suddenly, this immense consciousness noticed something. A mass of demonic chi converged, forming a supreme throne upon which a figure appeared, sitting on the throne. He is the ancestor of the demon abyss. For the ancestor of the demon abyss, the life and death of ordinary demonic beings are of little concern. Not to mention invading the immortal realm. Even within the demon abyss, countless ordinary demons perish every moment. But an emperor of demonic beings? Emperors of demonic beings could be considered the ancestor of the demon abyss incarnations, also his children. In the demon abyss, the emperors are immortal. They are blessed and protected by the entire abyss. The collapse of an emperor of demonic beings would alert the slumbering ancestor of the demon abyss. Who exactly is it that killed my child? The ancestor of the demon abyss gaze was pitch black as he began to trace the signs in the void, locking onto the final memories of the deceased emperors of demonic beings. Is it there? The eyes of the ancestor of the demon abyss flickered with the visions experienced by the 6 deceased emperors of demonic beings. Found it. The ancestor of the demon abyss faintly locked onto a location. However, just as the ancestor of the demon abyss was about to pinpoint the exact coordinates, he suddenly sensed the spacetime turn nebulous, the coordinates he had locked onto abruptly splitting in two. Then for 8, it was as if it existed in all spacetime. Yet as if it existed in none at all. This? The ancestor of the demon abyss revealed a look of confusion. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 9:14 The Conduit of Spacetime. Please subscribe. For the ancestor of the demon abyss, be it the immortal realm or the demon abyss itself, there are basically no secrets. Once he locks onto a living being, no matter where they are, even if they are in the primordial lands of the immortal realm, they cannot escape. But now, the ancestor of the demon abyss wishes to lock onto Lin Yuan's exact position, yet he finds it utterly impossible to determine the coordinates. This vexes and confounds the ancestor of the demon abyss. It's like having someone right in front of you, you can see them but you can't touch them. The stronger and higher the life form, the more perplexed they are when faced with such a scene. What's going on? The expression of the ancestor of the demon abyss turns serious, and the consciousness that had only partially awakened is now continuing to stir. If at first he was merely curious as to why the emperor of demonic beings he regarded as children were dying and falling, intending to find the perpetrator to exact revenge before slipping back into slumber, that was all. But now, the ancestor of the demon abyss has become thoroughly intrigued. Causal connections. Countless threads of fate appeared before the ancestor of the demon abyss. As an ancestral master, the ancestor of the demon abyss naturally has a profound understanding of the laws of cause and effect. Although he had never met Lin Yuan in person, the latter had killed 6 emperor of demonic beings and countless demonic beings. The emperor of demonic beings and the demonic beings are part of the ancestor of the demon abyss, especially the emperor of demonic beings, akin to his progeny, with a close connection to his incarnation. Lin Yuan killing the emperor of demonic beings equates to establishing a direct causal link with the ancestor of the demon abyss. Utilizing this causal connection, the ancestor of the demon abyss could easily lock onto Lin Yuan's precise location. The ancestor of the demon abyss has a multitude of causal threads, connecting different places in the immortal realm and the demon abyss, some even extending beyond the immortal realm. The ancestor of the demon abyss immediately found the causal thread related to Lin Yuan and followed the trail. Still can't sense it? The ancestor of the demon abyss was astonished. The existence of the causal thread proves that the other party has not died. Yet alive and undying, they could not be located within the range through the causal thread. Following that, the ancestor of the demon abyss employed dozens of methods attempting to lock onto Lin Yuan's coordinates, all to no avail. Even though it was clear Lin Yuan was still alive and indeed within the immortal realm, within the Shantian immortal domain, the ancestor of the demon abyss still felt as if he was grasping at a flower in the mirror, a moon in the water. It's time and space, a deeper level of time and space. The ancestor of the demon abyss sat on his throne, his brow furrowed. After various probes, the ancestor of the demon abyss concluded, the being that killed the emperor of demonic beings exists in an extremely deep part of spacetime. Even he could not forcefully peer into and locate it. Sar the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. To venture into such depths of spacetime, one must possess a certain level of understanding of it, at least beyond mine. The ancestor of the demon abyss thought quietly. Being at the level of an ancestral master, who could have an understanding of spacetime that surpassed his. Could it be that a new ancestral master had been born in the immortal realm? But how could that be possible? The celestial phenomena triggered by stepping into the level of an ancestral master could not be concealed, and it was virtually impossible for any being in the immortal realm or the demon abyss to step into that level at present. It's not an ancestral master. The ancestor of the demon abyss was very certain in his heart. What exactly has happened during my slumber? The ancestor of the demon abyss wondered to himself. Although certain that the assailant was not an ancestral master, the inability to lock onto their position meant that they were untouchable. Return all of you. The ancestor of the demon abyss couldn't pinpoint Lin Yuan, but since he had acted against the emperor of demonic beings, he presumably didn't have much affinity for the demonic beings of the demon abyss. Hence, the ancestor of the demon abyss immediately began summoning all of the relentless demonic beings and emperor of demonic beings that had invaded the immortal realm back. The so-called war between the immortals and demons was merely a game for the ancestor of the demon abyss. Even if those demonic beings and the emperor of demonic beings devoured many immortals, it would not be of much help to him, the ancestor of the demon abyss. Shanghai Immortal City. Four mighty emperor of demonic beings looked down coldly, as the vast immortal city below was on the brink of collapse under the onslaught of countless demonic beings. The immortal city's sovereign and many top-ranking Jade immortals fought desperately to no avail. Before absolute power, all resistance and struggle were futile. Ha 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 ha. Delicious food. The four emperor of demonic beings gazed greedily at the immortal city below. Devouring immortals and devouring their own kind were completely different experiences, and the help it provided to themselves was different as well. Just then, return all of you. A deep voice echoed in the minds of the four emperor of demonic beings. Father God? Father God is calling us back? The four emperor of demonic beings were shocked. They originated from the ancestor of the demon abyss, so they also considered the ancestor of the demon abyss as Father God. Let's go back. Father God wants us back, there must be something important. The four emperor of demonic beings reluctantly looked down at the immortal city below. They were just moments away from having that delicious food in their mouths. But none dared defy the command of the ancestor of the demon abyss. It was an instinct embedded deep within their consciousness. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The four emperor of demonic beings willingly retreated, and the infinite demonic beings also quickly dissipated. In just a short moment, the demonic beings outside Shanghai Immortal City all but vanished. What is going on? The sovereign of Shanghai Immortal City thought he was sure to perish. Even if he had left measures to save his life elsewhere, if he were to die at the hands of the emperor of demonic beings, the terrible corruption at the level of the soul could render those measures useless. But now, all the emperor of demonic beings have retreated? We survived. Inside Shanghai Immortal City, countless immortals wept with joy as they had never expected to live. Those ferocious demons had retreated on their own accords. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 9:15 The Conduit of Spacetime, please subscribe. _2 Chenxing Immortal City. It was still the scene of endless monstrous creatures sieging the city. The towering emperor of demonic beings had almost all opened their mouths, just waiting for the immortal city to be breached and to devour the countless immortals inside. But in the next moment, the emperor of demonic beings received the command from the ancestor of the demon abyss. They could only lead the infinite monstrous creatures to retreat and return to the demon abyss. Chuyu Immortal City, Xiaohao Immortal City, Heavenly Wheel Immortal City, in the 33 immortal domains, endless monstrous creatures led by the emperor of demonic beings besieged city after city. But at the same time, all the monstrous creatures withdrew, even when the besieged cities were just one step away from being broken through. No emperor of demonic beings dared to cross the boundary. What's going on? Why have all those monstrous creatures left? No matter why they left, at least we don't have to die. Yes, being eaten by monstrous creatures is said to be incredibly painful, and one's memory would be tainted. After the initial shock and confusion, the many immortals were extremely exhilarated. Who would choose to die if they could live? Especially facing such a brutal death at the maw of monstrous creatures. Why did the monstrous creatures retreat? Was it the ancestral master? Did the ancestral master take action? Our master should not have made a move. If it wasn't the ancestral master who acted, then who did? The lords of immortal cities and other high-ranking titans, while relieved, also began to speculate on the reason for the monster's withdrawal. The most likely speculation was that the ancestral master had made a move, but even the disciples of the ancestral master didn't know the ins and outs of this matter. Logically speaking, if the ancestral master had really acted, these disciples of the ancestral master would definitely have heard some rumors. Kangwu Immortal City. In front of the Grade A cave dwelling. The Lord of the Immortal City and many other high-ranking titans were respectfully waiting. Suddenly, the information that the endless monstrous creatures ravaging the 33 immortal domains had withdrawn reached the hands of the top Jade Immortals. The 33 immortal domains are vast and boundless. Even for mighty Jade Immortals continuously shifting through the void, it would probably take hundreds of thousands to millions of years to traverse all the domains. But the transmission of messages is much simpler than direct walking. Through the links between causality rules, strong beings like Golden Immortals and Jade Immortals can achieve instant communication. All the monstrous creatures have withdrawn. They withdrew on their own? Without any other powers intervening? Why have all the monstrous creatures voluntarily withdrawn? The Lord of the Immortal City and many other high-ranking titans were puzzled. The duration of each war between immortals and demons is counted in thousands to tens of thousands of years. Nowadays only decades have passed and it's still too early for the war to end. Moreover, in past wars between immortals and demons, even when really entering the late stage and about to end, the monstrous creatures would withdraw one by one from the immortal realm back to the demon abyss. But like now, almost at the same time, countless monstrous creatures, including the Emperor of Demonic Beings, uniformly withdrew from the immortal realm. It's like they received some command. And who has the authority to command the Emperor of Demonic Beings? The Lord of Kangwu Immortal City and other high-level giants shuddered in their hearts. One name emerged unanimously in their minds. Ancestor of the Demon Abyss. Besides the Ancestor of the Demon Abyss, who could command the Emperor of Demonic Beings. And such a large-scale command at that. But why would the Ancestor of the Demon Abyss do this? The Lord of the Immortal City and many high-ranking titans exchanged glances. Although there was no concrete evidence to prove it, they instinctively felt that it was related to Lin Yuan's earlier action. Because the timing of the Emperor of Demonic Beings' retreat was too coincidental. They did not retreat early or late, they all withdrew just after Lin Yuan took action. This compelled the top-tier Jade Immortals present to entertain such associations. Ancestor of the Demon Abyss. The heart of the Immortal City Master was engulfed by towering waves. If their conjecture was true, it meant that the being they sought an audience with possessed the capacity to make even the Ancestor of the Demon Abyss yield. Although an infinite number of demonic beings retreating from the immortal realm was not the same as the Ancestor itself yielding. But at the very least, it indicated that the Ancestor of the Demon Abyss was apprehensive. Within the cave abode, the cultivation area, Lin Yuan was observing everything visible to him from the perspective of the seventh realm of spacetime. Having reached an understanding of the seventh realm of spacetime, Lin Yuan saw the essence of spacetime unravel its mysteries across all he surveyed, comprising the spacetime of immortal realm, the spacetime of the demon abyss, even the spacetime of this particular dimension. The endless turning of spacetime is what forms a stable world where life can flourish. Even the most mundane rock, flower, or tree is subject to the influence of spacetime. Should spacetime collapse, these entities too would vanish. The workings of spacetime, the multitude of coexisting rules, are what shape everything stable. Witnessing this, a profound emotion surfaces in Lin Yuan's heart. Wonderful. Truly incredibly wonderful. At this moment, Lin Yuan held no more confusion. The spacetime anomalies that were once beyond his understanding were now thoroughly grasped. It was as though within the domain of spacetime Lin Yuan possessed omniscience. No, that's not right. Lin Yuan quickly regained his composure. His so-called omniscience was merely an illusion, a misconception born from the influx of information due to a significant leap in understanding. In actuality, upon careful consideration, Lin Yuan realized that he was still beset with countless doubts, such as the deeper elucidations on the seventh realm of spacetime within the secret skill Milky Way, and the descriptions of the 8th realm, all of which posed complex challenges to Lin Yuan. He'll take it slowly. Lin Yuan quickly calmed himself. Those dozens of scouting methods just now, originating from the deepest depths of the demon abyss, could they be from that ancestor of the demon abyss? Lin Yuan thought inwardly. With his current insights into spacetime, he could naturally perceive the surveillance from other second-layer beings, and was even capable of counter-surveillance and locking on targets. I killed 6 Emperor of demonic beings, probably alarming the ancestor of the demon abyss. Lin Yuan thought nonchalantly without the slightest apprehension. When he initially arrived in the immortal realm, towards the ancestor of the demon abyss, towards the ancestor of the immortal path, Lin Yuan maintained utmost gravity, as they potentially posed a threat to suppress him. See the novel _. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But now, the fact that the ancestor of the demon abyss used dozens of scouting methods without being able to locate Lin Yuan's true form said it all. To have the demons voluntarily retreat to the demon abyss? Quite cautious indeed. Lin Yuan saw through the 33 immortal domains with a glance and shook his head slightly. They wish to meet with me? Lin Yuan glanced outside the abode, as Yun Jinzi had already conveyed the message of the immortal city master and other jade immortals requesting an audience. Upon the throne inside the cave abode, Lin Yuan's form appeared out of thin air and he slowly sat down. The Kangwu immortal city master and other high-ranking dignitaries stood respectfully below. We are deeply grateful for your assistance, my lord. Without you, the myriad immortals of Kangwu immortal city. The Kangwu immortal city master immediately said with respect. It was but a casual effort. Lin Yuan spoke calmly. Striking at those 6 emperor of demonic beings was solely because they disturbed his seclusion. And the other demonic beings from various immortal domains that withdrew on their own volition. The Kangwu immortal city master cautiously probed. The retreat of all demonic beings had something to do with Lin Yuan, though it was merely speculation. That was the intention of the ancestor of the demon abyss, Lin Yuan said. This was the truth. While Lin Yuan's power could easily crush demonic beings, including the emperor of demonic beings, he did not have the authority to command them. Only the ancestor of the demon abyss had the power to orchestrate such a unified retreat of all demonic beings back to the demon abyss. The intention of the ancestor of the demon abyss. The immortal city master swallowed hard. Although Lin Yuan did not explicitly say it, by referring to the ancestor of the demon abyss, his tone suggested a kind of parody. Right? Lin Yuan looked down at the petrified top-tier jade immortals and suddenly said, Do me the favor of spreading the word that from today onwards, all who practice martial Tao are under my lineage. The main reason Lin Yuan met with the immortal city master and others was precisely for this matter. For the evolutionary pathway of martial Tao to spread thoroughly across the 33 realms of the immortal realm, it is necessary to make the immortals aware of Lin Yuan's methods. Having the Kangwu immortal city master and other top-tier jade immortals disseminate this information is most efficient. At least within the Shantian immortal domain, the spread of the evolutionary pathway of martial Tao would encounter no obstacles. Having stepped into the 7th realm of space-time, Lin Yuan had no more apprehensions in this immortal realm and naturally sought to spread the pathway of martial Tao. The 33 realms of the immortal realm are vast and boundless. Should martial Tao spread here, it shall greatly aid Lin Yuan in his ultimate ascent. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 916 I am the ancestor of martial arts, please subscribe. Centuries ago, Lin Yuan had already arranged for the Taiyin primordial spirit to propagate the martial Tao in secret. Of course, this propagation was done clandestinely, with the Taiyin primordial spirit merely facilitating when opportune. However, under the overwhelming dominance of the immortal cultivation system, the propagation of the martial Tao evolutionary paths was actually unaffected. After all, with the ancestor of the immortal path leading the way, sentient beings with the means would definitely prioritize the immortal path. As for martial Tao, Lin Yuan hid in the shadows, and without enough high-level powerhouses to oversee the martial Tao cultivation system, despite its infinite potential, it was not the first choice. Merely relying on a few centuries of accumulation, the propagation of martial Tao is still too slow. Lin Yuan silently thought to himself. Being invincible oneself is not the same as spreading one's own cultivation system. Unless Lin Yuan could stay in the immortal realm permanently, keeping an eye on its development, the growth trend of martial Tao might be suppressed at any time once he leaves. In the boundless void, martial Tao was able to spread so rapidly entirely because of the tens of thousands of years of accumulation in Tianqing world. The immortal realm? The vastness of the immortal realm far exceeds that of the boundless void. Before Lin Yuan's arrival to the immortal realm, there wasn't even martial Tao. Wanting to develop martial Tao from scratch not only requires effort but also a considerable amount of time to settle. After all, not every cultivator is like Lin Yuan. Even if there are martial Tao talents who are exceptionally brilliant, it would still take generations before they could aspire to climb the peak of martial Tao. Actually, in the immortal realm, there isn't a complete lack of a martial Tao foundation. A thought suddenly struck in Lin Yuan's mind as he looked in a certain direction. That place was one of the 3,330 lower worlds beneath the immortal realm, which is where the spirit realm is located. Lin Yuan had finished his 8th traversal, essentially allowing martial Tao to take root and sprout in the spirit realm, leaving behind many contingencies to ensure the smooth development of martial Tao. The foundation of martial Tao in the spirit realm originated from the lower world of the central divine China world, where the Taoed immortal sect struck a deal with Lin Yuan, protecting the weak period of martial Tao. Thereafter, cultivators of the martial Tao from the central divine China world continuously ascended to the spirit realm through the Taoed immortal sect's ascension platform, joining the Taoed immortal sect's ranks. Until Lin Yuan's 8th traversal, when he descended into the spirit realm, the cultivators of martial Tao had already established an influence called martial temple, calculating based on the flow of time between the spirit realm and the main universe. From the end of Lin Yuan's 8th traversal till now, 1,000,000 years should have passed in the spirit realm. Now in the spirit realm, martial Tao seems to be developing quite well. Lin Yuan's gaze pierced through layers of space-time, and he briefly surveyed the spirit realm. In fact, even without relying on the 7th realm of space-time to observe, Lin Yuan could feel the vigorous development of the martial Tao evolutionary path in the spirit realm. As the ancestor of martial arts, Lin Yuan could sense the flickering starlight of martial Tao cultivators, no matter how distant they might be. Sar the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Currently, in the spirit realm, over 50% of the areas are covered by this flickering starlight. That is to say, in the spirit realm, the martial Tao cultivation system has grown into a colossal entity, even capable of suppressing the immortal cultivation system. It seems Li Qing and the others are doing well. Lin Yuan nodded slightly, even though he had forcefully cultivated his disciple, Li Qing, to the 8th layer of martial Tao before the end of his 8th traversal, but the 8th layer of martial Tao is merely equivalent to the transcendence tribulation stage, and there is no shortage of practitioners at this level in the spirit realm. Even though Lin Yuan's lingering power still exists over the long term, it still depends on Li Qing and the others to maintain control. If we can lead the martial Tao cultivators from the spirit realm up here, it could reduce the difficulty of spreading martial Tao in the immortal realm, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Any endeavor is most difficult when it starts from nothing. With Lin Yuan's Taiyin primordial spirit covertly facilitating for centuries, the cultivators of the martial Tao cultivation system totaled only in the hundreds of thousands, with the strongest among them merely at the 6th stage martial Tao. And in the spirit realm, after 1,000,000 years of development, there are more than 1,000 cultivators at the 8th layer of martial Tao, with countless more at the 7th and 6th stages of martial Tao. With my current understanding of space and time, it shouldn't be a problem. Lin Yuan carefully observed for a while and nodded subtly. In actuality, there is a way to travel from the spirit realm to the immortal realm. That is to ascend to the 9th layer of heaven in the spirit realm and then fly upwards from there. With some luck, one might enter the immortal realm. However, due to Lin Yuan's presence, the strongest life forms in the spirit realm became unprecedentedly powerful, and future generations, whether immortal or martial Tao cultivators, could only make it through the 8th layer and be absolutely crushed when facing the Lin Yuan presiding over the 9th layer. This meant that for 1,000,000 years, no being from the spirit realm has reached the immortal realm. Let's begin. Lin Yuan's heart stirred slightly, and he sent out a thread of spiritual will, breaking away from the immortal realm and continuously falling, eventually merging with the spirit realm. Ancestral masters could roam beyond the immortal realm, and both the spirit realms and the central divine continent's immortal cultivation systems originated from the ancestral master's teachings. Although Lin Yuan had not reached the level of an ancestral master, his insights into the 7th realm of spacetime allowed him to achieve a similar effect and even exceed the ancestral master in certain aspects. Spirit realm. Eighth layer of heaven. Li Qing sat solemnly at the entrance to the ninth layer of heaven. Even 1,000,000 years later, I am still far inferior to my teacher from back then. Li Qing looked towards the entrance to the ninth layer of heaven. After 1,000,000 years, she had already reached the pinnacle of the eighth layer of martial Tao, perfecting many of the secret techniques left by Lin Yuan. Thus, Li Qing's power had become the strongest in the spirit realm, surpassing even the ancient transcendence tribulation beings from previous eras. But the greater her strength, the more Li Qing felt the gap between herself and her teacher. With her power levels, she was already capable of breaking through the eighth layer to the ninth. However, when facing the ninth layer, which bore the imprint of Lin Yuan, she was still completely overwhelmed. I wonder how teacher is doing now. How is life in the immortal realm? Li Qing couldn't help but feel nostalgic about Lin Yuan. She was a disciple that Lin Yuan took in when he was in the central divine China world, and her reverence for Lin Yuan was the deepest. Just as Li Qing's thoughts were spreading, fluctuations of spacetime spread like ripples, and a towering figure seemed to traverse boundless spacetime, arriving at the eighth layer of heaven. An instinctive awe surged in Li Qing's heart, and she stared blankly at the towering figure, her eyes involuntarily welling up with tears. Teacher. To actually still feel a rejection towards me. Lin Yuan's sliver of soul consciousness descended upon the spirit realm and faintly felt the fear of the entire world. But it was only fear. Even if it were just a sliver of soul consciousness, if Lin Yuan wished, he could easily destroy the entire spirit realm. He could, with his mastery over time-space alone, create a space-time storm unprecedented in the spirit realm. This would lead the entire world to enter its collapse, stepping into the final stage of destruction. In comparison, the current spirit realm appeared far too fragile to Lin Yuan's present self. Perhaps sensing the level of Lin Yuan, the spirit realm's instinctive consciousness could only feel fear. What's wrong? You don't recognize me anymore? Lin Yuan's gaze shifted, looking towards the trembling Li Qing. He smiled lightly and said, Teacher, have you really come back? Li Qing suddenly came to her senses. Just now she nearly thought she was dreaming. Since ancient times, as the spirit realm has gone through epochs, aside from that ancestral master of immortal realm at the birth of the world, there has never been a strong being who reached the ninth layer of heaven and then returned to the spirit realm. After a moment, Li Qing finally forced herself to accept the reality that the towering figure before her was indeed her teacher. You've worked hard these years, Lin Yuan said to Li Qing with slight approval. The development of martial Tao in the spirit realm to this state today must have required Li Qing to put in massive effort. Teacher, this descent of yours, are you planning to? Li Qing steadied her spirit and couldn't help asking. Having seen Lin Yuan again, Li Qing was extremely excited, and she asked the question, eager to serve her teacher once again. Nothing much. I plan to bring all of you to the immortal realm, Lin Yuan said with a faint smile. This was also the purpose of his return to the spirit realm, to utilize the many cultivators of martial Tao in the spirit realm to spread and develop martial Tao in the immortal realm. To the immortal realm? Us. Li Qing was somewhat dumbfounded. Since ancient times, it had never been heard that one could be brought to the immortal realm. In Li Qing's understanding, to go to the immortal realm, one must ascend to the ninth layer of heaven, which has always been the case since the birth of the spirit realm. All the ancient beings at the transcendence tribulation stage did so as well. And now Lin Yuan was saying he would take her up there? And them? It sounded like it wasn't just one person. You go down and get ready. Within the spirit realm, all cultivators of sixth-stage martial Tao can enter the immortal realm, Lin Yuan said. The cultivation environment in the immortal realm far surpasses that of the spirit realm. Cultivators of martial Tao entering the immortal realm will have a higher ceiling. All sixth-stage martial Tao? Li Qing was taken aback. The martial Tao in the spirit realm was flourishing. How many sixth-stage cultivators were there? All of them could enter the immortal realm? In the depths of the demon abyss. The ancestor of the demon abyss ordered all demons to retreat back into the abyss and did not give up on monitoring the immortal realm. Due to the presence of Lin Yuan, the ancestor of the demon abyss had almost revived his entire consciousness. He was constantly observing the immortal realm, especially the slightest changes in the Shantian immortal domain. A fluctuation in the spacetime passage? That being has opened a spacetime passage between the immortal realm and the lower realm? The ancestor of the demon abyss felt a slight movement in his heart. He could not lock onto Lin Yuan's specific coordinates, but he was extremely sensitive to fluctuations in spacetime. Such a stable spacetime passage. The ancestor of the demon abyss was astonished. With his ancestral master-level strength, he could project his presence to the lower realm, and could even forcibly bring lives from the lower realm to the immortal realm. But to open a stable spacetime passage like Lin Yuan, completely spanning the lower realm and the immortal realm, one needed to counteract the immortal realm's repairing force. The requirement for understanding of spacetime was unimaginably high. Which lower realm spacetime passage is this exactly? The ancestor of the demon abyss observed carefully, beginning to investigate as the invisible demon abyss power began to converge subtly. Suddenly, at this moment, the ancestor of the demon abyss expression changed. Not far from him, the power of spacetime coalesced, forming a young male figure. This young man effortlessly crossed the many barriers of the demon abyss, materializing an avatar here. Smiling at the ancestor of the demon abyss, he spoke, "Ancestor of the demon abyss? Who might you be?" The ancestor of the demon abyss expression was solemn, as if facing a great adversary, clearly aware that this young man's avatar was the being he had been observing. The young man said with a smile, "I am the ancestor of martial arts. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 917 Lin Yuan and the Ancestor of the Demon Abyss. Please subscribe. After Lin Yuan's comprehension of the spacetime domain entered the seventh realm, as long as he was within the range of spacetime he could sense, he could materialize an incarnation at any location. The sixth realm of spacetime allowed Lin Yuan's thoughts to travel instantaneously. Here, instantaneously still requires time, albeit exceedingly brief. But the seventh realm of spacetime allows Lin Yuan to descend synchronously. There is no doubt that this is much stronger than the sixth realm of spacetime, which requires crossing an actual distance. There may be obstructions along the way, such as certain perilous spacetime terrains that cannot be crossed by spacetime travel. In contrast, the seventh realm of spacetime is different. No matter how many perilous labyrinths separate the locations, as long as they are still within the range of spacetime Lin Yuan can sense, he can descend directly. The range of spacetime Lin Yuan can now sense is roughly equivalent to the size of dozens of immortal realms. The immortal realm is vast and boundless, equivalent to 1% of the main universe's territory. Dozens of immortal realms, that's already equivalent to a good part of the main universe. In other words, if he returns to the main universe, Lin Yuan can appear at any place within most of the territories of the main universe with just a thought. Even if using the two primordial spirits as reference points, sitting in key nodes of the main universe, he could appear instantaneously within all locations of the main universe. The only downside is that the one descending is merely an incarnation. But with Lin Yuan's current level of rule comprehension and strength of spirit and will, even if it's just an incarnation, the battle power exhibited can far surpass the emperor of demonic beings. And when necessary, the true self, the original being, can descend using the incarnation as coordinates. Just now, Lin Yuan was guiding the numerous martial Tao cultivators of the spirit realm through the spacetime passage, leading them to the immortal realm, when he perceived the master of the abyss scrutiny. Therefore, he simply came to meet face to face with the ancestor of the demon abyss. Actually, even without the ancestor of the demon abyss scrutiny, Lin Yuan also intended to meet this ruler of the demon abyss, an existence of the 12th layer. Ancestor of martial arts? The ancestor of the demon abyss looked solemn. He observed Lin Yuan carefully, realizing that the person before him seemed not to be in this space-time, but talking to him was merely an image, a projection. "I have never heard of you," the ancestor of the demon abyss said with a tone of confusion. Although he spent most of his time in slumber, given Lin Yuan's strength, he must have left traces in the distant past. But in reality, the ancestor of the demon abyss had never heard the name ancestor of martial arts. "It doesn't matter if you have not heard of it now, just remember it in the future," Lin Yuan said. Actually, for the past several centuries, under the promotion of the Taiyin primordial spirit, the martial Tao has also been spreading. But the noise was too faint, and most forces in the Shintian immortal domain hadn't even heard of it. Let alone the exalted ancestor of the demon abyss. Hearing this, the ancestor of the demon abyss fell silent for a moment, then asked, "I wonder what the ancestor of martial arts is here for?" "Indeed, there are two matters," Lin Yuan nodded as he spoke. This was also the main purpose of his descent, to meet the ancestor of the demon abyss. SAR the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. "Please speak." The ancestor of the demon abyss looked at Lin Yuan. At his level, no one has ever dared to make demands of him. But the mastery of spacetime revealed by Lin Yuan placed great pressure on the ancestor of the demon abyss. Since I am the ancestor of martial arts, I naturally follow the path of the martial Tao and have trained a few disciples who will walk in the immortal realm in the future. Lin Yuan sighed. I hope the ancestor of the demon abyss would not strike at my weak disciples, nor take the initiative to suppress and destroy the martial Tao cultivation system. For the martial Tao cultivation system to last in the immortal realm, besides the need for foundational dissemination, even more critical is the attitude of a 12th layer existence like the ancestor of the demon abyss. If the ancestor of the demon abyss despises the martial Tao cultivation system, even if one day it spreads throughout the 33 domains of the immortal realm, it would still be condemned to destruction. Naturally, this is under the premise that Lin Yuan does not intervene. Martial Tao cultivation system. The ancestor of the demon abyss had a deep gaze, pondering for a long time before saying, I will not make a move. With his status and strength, even if Lin Yuan didn't say so, he wouldn't deign to strike at the weak. In the past, all the battles between immortals and demons were caused by the creatures the ancestor of the demon abyss casually created. As for the ancestor of the demon abyss himself, he had never taken action. The other matter. Lin Yuan smiled slightly and continued, I have heard that the origin of the immortal realm contains the realm's most fundamental rules manifest, so I plan to visit the origin of the immortal realm. As soon as these words came out, the ancestor of the demon abyss narrowed his eyes. I don't understand the meaning of the ancestor of martial arts. The origin of the immortal realm is not the demon abyss. The ancestor of the demon abyss message was clear. The origin of the immortal realm belongs to the ancestor of the immortal path. Lin Yuan should inquire with the ancestor of the immortal path. Haha, Lin Yuan laughed and said, all the immortals in the immortal realm as well as the demonic beings from the demon abyss, believe that the ancestor of the immortal path and the ancestor of the demon abyss are opposed, and the wars between immortals and demons stem from that. But shouldn't the ancestor of the immortal path and the ancestor of the demon abyss share the same consciousness? Asking you would be no different from asking the ancestor of the immortal path, right? Lin Yuan looked at the ancestor of the demon abyss. It must be said that there are significant differences between the ancestor of the demon abyss and the ancestor of the immortal path. Even among the 12-layer ultimates in the main universe, not everyone could discern that the two are essentially one. Lin Yuan was also only able to determine this after his comprehension of spacetime reached the 7th realm, through the subtle hints within the spacetime domain, and the spacetime structure of the immortal realm and the demon abyss, that the so-called immortal realm has, from the beginning to end, only one ultimate existence. As for the ancestor of the immortal path and the ancestor of the demon abyss, they are simply two sides of the same coin. You actually saw through it. The face of the ancestor of the demon abyss showed no expression. Now that Lin Yuan had made it so clear, there was no need for him to continue the pretense. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 9:18 Lin Yuan and the Ancestor of the Demon Abyss. Please subscribe. _2-inch luck. Lin Yuan said with a smile. In fact, even if he hadn't entered the 7th realm of spacetime, Lin Yuan was already suspicious of the ancestor of the demon abyss and the ancestor of the immortal path, these two ultimate beings. Unlike the beings of the immortal realm, Lin Yuan came from the main universe where many supremes resided. He knew how incredibly difficult it was to give birth to a 12th-layer life. Yet, in the immortal realm, there were two 12th-layer ultimate existences? If it was just that, Lin Yuan wouldn't give it much thought, as the immortal realm was more than capable of accommodating two 12th-layer supremes. But these two 12th-layer beings treaded completely opposite paths. It wasn't just that they were completely opposite, but their followers, the immortals and the demons, had a sort of complementary meaning to each other. All demons eagerly devour the flesh and blood of immortals, yet immortals could also consume demonic qi. But due to the highly corrosive nature of demonic qi, when immortals consume demons, they could easily be demonized. However, the fact that immortals and demons can complement each other is already enough to trigger many associations in Lin Yuan's mind. Demons originate from the ancestor of the demon abyss, while the immortals walk the cultivation path handed down by the ancestor of the immortal path. The fact that demons and immortals can complement each other implies that the ancestor of the demon abyss and the ancestor of the immortal path have a complementary relationship too. Are 12th-layer beings unique to their respective evolutionary paths? Complementary? There's only one possibility, that these two 12th-layer beings have a profound connection, or they might even be the same person. If you want to enter the primordial lands, you have to agree to one of my conditions, said the ancestor of the demon abyss, looking at Lin Yuan. What condition? A smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. If not absolutely necessary, Lin Yuan would rather not fall out with the ancestor of the demon abyss. After all, Lin Yuan's stay in this world was limited. Unless he could eliminate the ancestor of the demon abyss once and for all, he'd rather opt for a peaceful coexistence if possible. I can sense that you haven't entered the Dao ancestor realm, the ancestor of the demon abyss said. Not a Dao ancestor, yet possessing such insight into space and time, therefore I wish to spar with you. Spar? Lin Yuan nodded. No problem. The ancestor of the demon abyss probably wanted to spar with him to figure out exactly what form Lin Yuan existed in. Just by feeling and observing, the ancestor of the demon abyss couldn't pinpoint Lin Yuan's exact location, but to directly make a move would probably mean a complete fallout with Lin Yuan. So he wanted to use sparring as a form of probing. Lin Yuan was pretty eager for that as well. Up to now he hadn't had the chance to cross hands with a 12th layer ultimate being. In a super large-scale battlefield, Lin Yuan swept through his foes, but those he faced were 11th layer powerhouses armed with 12th layer weapons. As for 12th layer powerhouses themselves, he had only had a momentary contact with the myriad transformation queen of the insect race, but was immediately isolated by the Shenyuan Supreme. Where do you plan on sparring? Asked the ancestor of the demon abyss. Since this was the territory of the ancestor of the demon abyss, in the demon abyss his strength would be greatly enhanced, hence the question. If it's a sparring match, it means they aren't enemies and it should be as fair as possible. If it were an enemy, naturally the ancestor of the demon abyss would not give up any advantage, nor show any signs of concession. Right here, Lin Yuan said after glancing around. Are you sure? Asked the ancestor of the demon abyss. To spar in his own territory, does this ancestor of martial arts have such confidence? Sure, Lin Yuan said with a smile. The ancestor of the demon abyss might be a 12th layer ultimate, but he had no idea about the height of the 7th realm of time-space. It was also normal. While the immortal realm just barely kept up with the main universe, beyond the main universe was the chaos void, where many 12th layer sovereigns and even 12th layer chaos realm powerhouses existed. Their understanding of realms far surpassed that of the ancestor of the demon abyss. If it were a 12th layer path-splitting realm powerhouse from the chaos void, upon discovering that Lin Yuan's comprehension of time-space reached the 7th realm, they wouldn't entertain the notion of sparring at all. In the center of the demon abyss, in an immense open space, Lin Yuan and the ancestor of the demon abyss stood opposite each other from a distance. You make the first move. As long as you can land an attack on me, you win. Lin Yuan looked at the ancestor of the demon abyss with a smile. The ancestor of the demon abyss form shrank to around 10 meters, emanating a pitch-black and profound aura, constantly devouring the demonic chi from all directions like a black hole. Does the ancestor of martial arts truly believe that I can't touch him at all? The ancestor of the demon abyss gazed at Lin Yuan and thought to himself. Yes. He indeed could not pinpoint Lin Yuan's exact spatial coordinates. But being unable to lock onto the exact coordinates did not mean he couldn't attack. It was like a complex ant colony. People outside indeed couldn't lock onto the position of a single ant inside. They have no idea where that ant is within the ant nest. But to deal with this ant, one need not necessarily find out its location. One only needs to completely destroy the nest, and naturally the ant within will surely die. The ancestor of the demon abyss harbored such thoughts, and since he couldn't locate Lin Yuan, he might as well destroy all the spacetime that he could sense. Be careful, Your Excellency. The ancestor of the demon abyss raised his hand, the demonic chi surged overwhelmingly, and instantly, a vast expanse of spacetime collapsed. As an existence of the 12th layer, every single action of the ancestor of the demon abyss could affect the surrounding spacetime, like a fish in water. Any flick of its tail could stir up ripples. Whoosh! The terrifying spacetime vibrations dispersed in all directions in an instant. Lin Yuan, as the target of the vibrations, was also engulfed, covered entirely by the endless demonic chi. Lin Yuan stood still as all the demonic chi passed through him as if it went through a void, immediately surging towards the back. After the demonic chi swept over, Lin Yuan was still standing there. If not for the vibrating spacetime around him, it was as if nothing had happened. It didn't have any effect at all? The ancestor of the demon abyss felt pressured. The blow he had just struck was only a probe, but it was specifically targeted at the breadth of the spacetime dimensions. In the view of the ancestor of the demon abyss, Even if he couldn't inconvenience Lin Yuan, at the very least, it should have had some slight impact, such as lifting a corner of Lin Yuan's robes. But now it seems that blow he struck was probably immensely far from Lin Yuan's true position. That move wasn't too shabby, Lin Yuan nodded and commented. Directly facing an attack from a 12th layer ultimate being, even for Lin Yuan, was a rare experience. The 7th realm of spacetime kept Lin Yuan in an absolutely safe state, which allowed him to observe the ancestor of the Demon Abyss earlier move more carefully. Not too shabby? The ancestor of the Demon Abyss took a deep breath, and immediately the entire Demon Abyss began to contract. Then take a look at this move. Boom. In all directions. Up, down, left, and right. CTH Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Countless layers of spacetime seemed to solidify. Lin Yuan appeared as if he were an insect trapped in amber, followed by a series of fine cracks at the edge of spacetime. The cracks rapidly spread, expanded, and split, in an instant enveloping everything before them. The next moment, the surrounding spacetime shattered like broken glass, and vast swathes of dark spacetime rifts emerged, a scene from outside the immortal realm. With this strike, the ancestor of the Demon Abyss had torn through all the spatial layers of the immortal realm, creating a huge breach that connected to the world beyond the immortal realm. The ancestor of the Demon Abyss looked again towards Lin Yuan's previous location, only to find Lin Yuan still standing there, unaffected by the destructive aura of the shattered spacetime around him. This scene deeply startled the ancestor of the Demon Abyss. I have completely penetrated the spacetime of the immortal realm, yet still no impact on the ancestor of martial arts? The ancestor of the Demon Abyss confirmed one thing immediately: the spacetime where the ancestor of martial arts resides seems to have transcended the immortal realm, and even the destruction of the immortal realm cannot restrain him. This move of the ancestor of the Demon Abyss, while much stronger than the previous one, Lin Yuan promptly spoke up with praise. You're getting closer to me now. Would the ancestor of the Demon Abyss care to keep trying? In fact, this move of the ancestor of the Demon Abyss was still a long distance away from Lin Yuan's specific spatiotemporal location, but it's always good to encourage the ancestor of the Demon Abyss. There's no need. Indeed, I cannot touch the ancestor of martial arts. The ancestor of the Demon Abyss fell silent for a moment before immediately speaking out. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 919 Resurrection. Please subscribe. No more sparring? Lin Yuan asked. There's no need to continue sparring. The ancestor of the Demon Abyss replied. In fact, the ancestor of the Demon Abyss had stronger trump cards and killing moves that he had not yet used. Even the ancestor of the Immortal Path in the origin of the Immortal Realm had not yet made a move. But through these two probing attacks, the ancestor of the Demon Abyss had confirmed that he could not only fail to lock onto Lin Yuan's location in spacetime. Even the attacks he launched were unable to touch or affect Lin Yuan. Therefore, continuing to spar was meaningless. It was completely one-sided output from the ancestor of the Demon Abyss. Then may I enter the origin of the Immortal Realm to have a look? Lin Yuan continued to ask. Of course you may. The corners of the ancestor of the Demon Abyss mouth twitched slightly. Based on the outcome of his sparring with Lin Yuan, even if he disagreed, it would be of no use. Lin Yuan could enter the origin regardless of his permission. Lin Yuan's arrival to the Demon Abyss and his encounter with the ancestor of the Demon Abyss, who couldn't do anything to him, was all done without a sound. Similarly, he could enter the origin of the Immortal Realm just as quietly, and even before the ancestor of the Immortal Path, he would be helpless. Then thank you very much. Lin Yuan nodded. Although he could directly enter the origin of the Immortal Realm, it was always proper to greet the host. I will take my leave now. If there's anything, just contact me directly. After Lin Yuan spoke, his figure directly dissipated, for it was merely an avatar he had sent here. When the will of his mind dissipated, the avatar naturally vanished. Ancestor of martial arts. After Lin Yuan left, the ancestor of the Demon Abyss stood for a long time before he sighed and disappeared as well. The sparring between the ancestor of the Demon Abyss and Lin Yuan caused a profound impact in the Demon Abyss, leaving countless demonic beings and their emperors in fear and unrest. Since their creation, they had never felt the Father God exert such force, stirring up spatial temporal fluctuations that affected the entire Demon Abyss. Xintian Immortal Domain. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. 12th layer strength. Lin Yuan carefully sensed the 2 strikes unleashed by the ancestor of the demon abyss just now. Although in terms of spacetime Lin Yuan was superior to the ancestor of the demon abyss, making him innately invincible, it was still just invincibility. If he were to resist head-on, not to mention it was just an avatar, even his true form, the true form from the main universe, would not be able to withstand it. There's still a considerable gap between me and the direct combat power of the 12th layer. Lin Yuan evaluated himself and concluded. He was only able to survive before the ultimate fighters of the 12th layer, not meaning he could contend against the ultimate 12th layer. But compared to those 12th layer powerhouses in the main universe, could the ancestor of the demon abyss be considered somewhat weaker? Lin Yuan thought to himself. Even within the 12th layer there are differences in strength. It's not just about the 3 big stages: path-splitting, domination, and chaos. Even within the path-splitting realm alone, there is a large gap, and those at the peak of the path-splitting 12th layer can safely endure the tribulations of the universe's destruction. The ordinary path-splitting 12th layer beings, when facing the tribulations of the universe's destruction, would have to accept a great demise. It is understandable for the ancestor of the demon abyss to be weaker than the 12th layer powerhouses of the main universe. After all, those 12th layer powerhouses from the main universe occasionally spar with each other, competing, and might even receive higher teachings from outside the universe. But the ancestor of the demon abyss? Being 2 sides of the same coin with the ancestor of the immortal path, before Lin Yuan descended into the immortal realm, had already been invincible for countless years, losing the drive that comes with having enemies and naturally halting in strength advancement. However, even the weakest of the 12th layer is still ultimate, and Lin Yuan, who has realized the 7th realm of spacetime, could only survive before them. The spacetime passage is completely formed now. Lin Yuan's gaze shifted, looking at the spacetime passage in front of him. This was a passage forcibly established between the immortal realm and the spirit realm based on Lin Yuan's insight into the 7th realm of spacetime, condensing spacetime. Such a feat could only be achieved by Lin Yuan. Even the ancestor of the immortal path and the ancestor of the demon abyss could at most bring a few lives into the immortal realm. As for creating a stable spacetime passage? Almost impossible. Before long, faint figures began to appear within the spacetime passage before Lin Yuan. Is this the immortal realm? Li Qing stepped through the lengthy spacetime passage, and upon entering the immortal realm, she was immersed in the rich immortal qi and the extremely complete Dao rules. For a moment she was lost in astonishment. In her life Li Qing actually had a day where she entered the immortal realm? Ancestor of martial arts. Greetings to the ancestor of martial arts. Greetings to the ancestor of martial arts. Behind Li Qing, Shanyang, Nie Yun, and the rest of the 8th layer martial Tao practitioners steadied their spirits. Upon seeing Lin Yuan, who stood not far away with his hands behind his back, they immediately bowed down fervently. As the ancestor of martial arts returned to the spirit realm and opened a passage to the immortal realm, this news had already spread throughout the 3,000 Dao regions of the spirit realm, driving countless cultivators mad with excitement. Leaving aside the prospect of entering the legendary immortal realm, just the mere sight of the ancestor of martial arts, the progenitor originator of martial Tao, was enough to make all cultivators willing to die for the opportunity. Stand up. First, get accustomed to the environment of the immortal realm. Lin Yuan nodded slightly, initiating the 8th traverse. Martial Tao was waning in the spirit realm, supported only by Li Qing, Shanyang, and Ye Yun, the 3 7th-stage martial Tao practitioners. When Lin Yuan first met Shanyang, the latter had planned to take Lin Yuan to visit the 9 heavens. Yes. Venerated martial ancestor rank. Li Qing, Shanyang, Ye Yun, and other cultivators of the 8th layer of martial Tao nodded in extreme excitement. Lin Yuan looked toward the rear, and as Li Qing and the other 2 8th layer martial Tao practitioners completed their journey through the spacetime passage, more and more cultivators of martial Tao's 8th layer entered the immortal realm. Among them were Jun Haiqiu, Jun Nangong, and Jun Yunshuan from the Jun family. In the central divine China world, after Lin Yuan's transmigration, he took the identity of Wuji, a 3rd-generation immortal of the morality immortal sect from the Jun family, and at that time the influence of the Jun family in the morality immortal sect was not insignificant. Spirit realm. Lin Yuan's conjured avatar began to break free from the world's shackles and arrived outside of the world. Central divine continent. Lin Yuan looked down, the Ling family possessing 1,000,000 subordinate worlds, of which the central divine continent world was one. The distance between the spirit realm and the central divine continent was not far, and the refined void period powerhouses from the central divine continent could ascend to the spirit realm through the ascension platform. This incarnation of Lin Yuan continued to descend and finally merged with the central divine continent. Back again? As Lin Yuan observed his surroundings, he immediately felt an extreme narrowness, as if the entire central divine continent couldn't contain his colossal presence. To integrate as seamlessly as possible with the central divine continent, Lin Yuan's wisp of mental will directly inhabited the body that once belonged to Wuji, which he had specifically reserved. This world. Lin Yuan looked around, the minute details of the central divine continent world falling into his view. The current central divine continent world had become thoroughly dominated by martial Tao. Perhaps it was the influence of his eighth traversal to the spirit realm. The martial Tao cultivators had become the absolute mainstream in the central divine continent world. The River of Time. Lin Yuan's gaze deepened as he looked towards the central divine continent world's River of Time. Lin Yuan had descended to the central divine continent world specifically with the intention of resurrecting people such as Jun Dongjin and Mu Lianer. Although people like Jun Dongjin had ascended to the spirit realm, they were born in the central divine continent world and their life brands were also in the central divine continent world, so to be resurrected, they had to return to the central divine continent world. Resurrect. Lin Yuan's form became ethereal, he flowed upstream, starting to lock onto the essences of lives that had perished in the past. Resurrection techniques belonged to the capabilities of 12th-tier powerhouses, but fundamentally, it was just a mastery of space and time. SAR the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Grasping the entire rule of time at the 11th tier, one could also flow upstream and theoretically scoop up fleeting lives from the past, but one would be unable to withstand the backlash from the River of Time. Today, Lin Yuan's life essence was unprecedentedly strong. Resurrecting some 7th-tier beings was all too simple, not to mention the pittance of a backlash from the River of Time. Rustle. The River of Time rippled. One after another, gray life brands were scooped up and then brought to the current spacetime. I thought I was dead? Jun Dongjin, Mu Lianer, Jun Xiaoyao, Jun Jilan, and others blinked, finding it rather unbelievable, their memories all halting at the final moment of death. Now that they were resurrected, it was as if they had just awoken from sleep. I feel that my lifespan has become immeasurably extended. I could live for at least 1 million or 10 million years. Jun Dongjin took a deep breath. He remembered that he didn't have much lifespan left, so how come his lifespan has now surged by 100-fold? Me too. Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Jilan looked at each other. Is this central divine continent? I remember I had already entered the spirit realm through the ascension platform. Wuji. Mu Lianer suddenly called out excitedly. The family turned their heads and saw Lin Yuan quietly observing, his aura as constrained as possible, otherwise people like Jun Dongjin wouldn't even have the qualification to look at him directly. Don't panic, you have been resurrected by me, Lin Yuan explained with a smile. Next, I will take you to the immortal realm. Resurrecting Jun Dongjin and his family was an effortless matter for Lin Yuan. After all, it was no trouble for him, and it required no price to be paid. Besides Jun Dongjin's family, Lin Yuan resurrected many others such as the parents of his 8th traversal spirit realm fleshly form and so on. Given the strength of Lin Yuan's life essence, even resurrecting 11th tier lives was well within his capability, and reviving many more ordinary lives was just a matter of thought. After resurrection, Lin Yuan slightly infused each resurrected being with some origin source, greatly prolonging their lifespans. Otherwise, lives that died due to the limit of their lifespan, even if pieced back together, would still have to face the issue of lifespan limitation. We've been resurrected? The hearts of Jun Dongjin's family were shaken. They had been to the spirit realm and knew that even for a tribulation stage celestial king, death was final, and the notion of resurrection didn't exist. And yet, Wuji could effortlessly resurrect them? And it wasn't a mere resurrection, their life essence, the length of their lifespan, had all been significantly elevated? Immortal realm? Jun Xiaoyao was momentarily stunned. Could they really proceed to the immortal realm? Resurrecting long-gone relatives and friends was a task for a negligibly minor incarnation split by Lin Yuan. As for his true body, it remained in closed-door cultivation, comprehending the Tao. Lin Yuan's consciousness immersed in the depths of his mind, gazing towards the towering and grandiose Myriad Realms gate. Now with the attainment of the 7th realm in spacetime comprehension, this was Lin Yuan's first examination of the Myriad Realms gate. What is this? Lin Yuan's expression shifted slightly. At this moment, with his spacetime insight reaching the seventh realm, he immediately noticed changes in the Myriad Realms gate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 920 The Source World, Seeking Subscriptions. The Myriad Realms gate stands lofty and majestic at the deepest part of Lin Yuan's mind, as if it has remained unchanged through the ages, eternal and everlasting. Even though it is merely a projection of the true Myriad Realms gate, it still gives Lin Yuan the illusion of surpassing the 12th layer, even for the likes of Shen Huang and the Moyu Tower Master. In front of this projection they seem like mere dust. This is not a comparison of physical sizes, but rather from a deeper, more fundamental level. Lin Yuan previously guessed that the Myriad Realms gate is an object at the level of perfect time beings, based on this scene. Now, Lin Yuan's expression is solemn as he observes the Myriad Realms gate closely. After his understanding of spacetime entered the seventh realm, Lin Yuan's perception of spacetime has completely changed from before. Now, the Myriad Realms gate also feels different to Lin Yuan. In fact, it's not the Myriad Realms gate that has changed, it has always been there and never changed. It's just that Lin Yuan's realm has improved, allowing him to see more of the Myriad Realms gate's fundamental information, making him feel as if the gate itself has changed. New world coordinates have appeared? Lin Yuan thought to himself as dozens of world coordinates faintly emerged deep within the Myriad Realms gate. To be precise, there are 33 world coordinates. These 33 world coordinates, as if they had been engraved in the Myriad Realms gate long ago, are only now perceived by Lin Yuan. 33 worlds? Lin Yuan observed carefully and soon received information about these 33 worlds. Search * the Nell Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. These 33 worlds, are they all source worlds? 33 source worlds? Lin Yuan looks pensive. The information about these 33 source worlds is scant, likely because his realm is still insufficient to perceive more information. Source worlds? What level of worlds are those? Lin Yuan is quite curious. The world coordinates that are imprinted in the deepest parts of the Myriad Realms gate are obviously not simple. At least neither the main universe nor the Chaos Void has the capability to imprint their own coordinates there. However, this is good news for me. A smile appears on Lin Yuan's face. At his current level, just one step away from the 12th layer, his options for worlds to traverse and descend upon are very few. In the heavens and Myriad Realms, among the endless dimensional planes, countless worlds exist, but the absolute majority are lower and middle-level worlds. High-level worlds like the Immortal Realm and the main universe are extremely rare. If he traverses through the Myriad Realms gate and descends into a lower-level world, Lin Yuan would feel very uncomfortable. The restrictions of a lower-level world are significant, and Lin Yuan might not even be able to grow to the level of condensing physical body divine abilities. Moreover, since physical body divine abilities originate from bloodlines, the bloodlines of a lower-level world, even if they could condense physical body divine abilities, would probably not compare to top-tier ones such as Tier Heaven or World. This is also the reason why Lin Yuan has not undertaken a large number of blind random traversals. 100 or 1,000 random traversals might not benefit Lin Yuan as much as one high-quality traversal. Therefore, after the 11th traversal was completed, to embark on the next traversal, Lin Yuan had to opt for a customized traversal. But customized traversals consume too much world-breaking origin force, starting at 100 strands. Along with Lin Yuan's increasing demands in customization, the consumption of world-breaking origin force would skyrocket, and eventually, customizing a world that satisfies Lin Yuan might cost 1,000 or several thousand strands of world-breaking origin force. These 33 source worlds? At least in terms of level, they would not be lower than the main universe. Lin Yuan traversing and descending among them would certainly not face any suppression. The operation of rules differs between different world dimensions. Staying in one world dimension for a long time, one would only sense that dimension's operation of rules. The operation of rules in worlds of the same level but different dimensions is markedly different. Prolonged contemplation undeniably aids in cultivation. This is also why those close to perfect time beings explore other dimensional spaces. Not only to discover the unknown but also to experience the operation of rules in different dimensional spaces. Maybe they'll impact their own cultivation path and subsequently achieve a breakthrough. If this journey to the immortal realm doesn't lead to an understanding of the chaos rule, I can try out these source world coordinates, Lin Yuan thinks to himself. Even now, Lin Yuan isn't certain if he can comprehend the chaos rule. Comprehending the chaos rule at the 11th layer is exceedingly difficult. If it weren't confirmed that the chaos rule is of great help in breaking through to the ultimate level, Lin Yuan wouldn't bother with such an unrewarding task. With Lin Yuan's against heaven's understanding, as long as he can step into the 12th layer, even just into the path-splitting realm, the difficulty of comprehending the chaos rule would be greatly reduced. 33 source worlds. Lin Yuan ponders, most of his attention on observing the 33 new source world coordinates deep within the myriad realms gate. Out of the 33 coordinates, Lin Yuan can only clearly see the first 3. The remaining 30? They are incredibly vague and he can only confirm they are world coordinates. Lin Yuan delegates a wisp of consciousness, through the formidable power of the myriad realms gate, to probe the source world corresponding to the first world coordinate. Humming noises. Lin Yuan's strand of consciousness, as if it has traveled through a long space-time passage, finally arrives at a supreme space. What comes into view is a continent that fills the heavens and the earth, a continent that is so vast. Beyond the continent, there are countless meteorite worlds suspended in space. In Lin Yuan's vision, even the smallest meteorite floating on the outskirts of the continent has a vastness that rivals the main universe. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 921 Origin World, please subscribe, _2-inch time flow ratio. Lin Yuan paused for just a moment, ascertaining the time flow ratio between this origin world and the main universe, and then the thread of spiritual will that had descended began to disintegrate and shatter. 300 to 1, Lin Yuan's expression was solemn. Simply put, 300 years in the main universe would pass, while only 1 year would elapse in that origin world. Based on Lin Yuan's multiple descents into other dimensional worlds, the higher the level of the world, the slower the time flow ratio. The time flow ratio of 300 to 1 between the main universe and that origin world signifies that the latter's world hierarchy is higher than the main universe. This was also the first time Lin Yuan discovered a world with a hierarchy even higher than the main universe. Even the immortal realm was merely on par with the main universe, and in reality still inferior to it. Let's see the next origin world. Lin Yuan looked towards the second origin world coordinate. Among the 33 origin world coordinates, Lin Yuan could only clearly make out the first 3. Just as Lin Yuan was about to use the myriad realms gate to descend with a thread of spiritual will into the world corresponding to this origin world coordinate, he received an instinctual warning from the myriad realms gate. This origin world is unique. Approaching recklessly will cause a certain degree of discomfort. CTH Novel F. Iyer. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Then forget it. Lin Yuan immediately gave up. His exploration of the second origin world was purely out of curiosity, with no thoughts of descending and traversing in the near future. After all, there was still the first origin world coordinate ahead. If Lin Yuan were indeed to traverse and descend, he would definitely prioritize the first origin world. Xintian Immortal Domain. Kangwu Immortal City. Jade Immortals from 33 immortal domains quickly gathered. I heard that this celestial demonic war ended early because of Master Yun Jinzi? An elderly top-tier Jade Immortal stopped outside the Immortal City, looked towards the other arriving Jade Immortals and whispered, "This Master Yun Jinzi intervened, resolved 6 Emperor of demonic beings and countless demons, and the ancestor of the demon abyss not only did not pursue the matter but also ordered all demons to retreat to the demon abyss?" The surrounding multitude of Jade Immortals, although having heard such claims before and unsure of their truth, were still astounded. What kind of existence is the ancestor of the demon abyss? He is an ancestral master-level powerhouse who has confronted the ancestor of the immortal path for countless years, and throughout past celestial demonic wars, countless immortals have fallen at the hands of demons. Such a supremely fierce and unparalleled powerhouse, yet so amicable in front of Master Yun Jinzi? I am on good terms with the Lord of Kangwu Immortal City. At this moment, another shorter Jade Immortal spoke up. Master Yun Jinzi is not only an alchemy master but also established himself as the ancestor of martial arts, spreading the martial Tao cultivation system. Ancestor of martial arts? Martial Tao cultivation system? The gathered Jade Immortals looked at each other. They had never heard of such a cultivation system before, but since it produced a powerhouse like Master Yun Jinzi, it was evidently not to be underestimated. Ancestor of martial arts? Could it be that he plans to stand equal to the ancestor of the immortal path and the ancestor of the demon abyss? A Jade Immortal could not help but say. The strength of the ancestor of martial arts, even if not as great as the ancestor of the demon abyss or the ancestor of the immortal path, is probably not far behind. The other Jade Immortals silently thought. Since he dares to call himself the ancestor of martial arts, he must have already considered the ancestor of the immortal path and the ancestor of the demon abyss. To be able to cultivate to the Jade Immortal stage, none are fools, especially not Master Yun Jinzi. If he didn't have the confidence and strength, to claim to be the ancestor of martial arts would be suicidal. I wonder if we'll get to meet the ancestor of martial arts this time. The many Jade Immortals discussed amongst themselves. They traveled across various immortal domains to Kangwu Immortal City, with the purpose of meeting the ancestor of martial arts. The ultimate truths converge from different paths, be it martial Tao or immortal path. At the level of the ancestor of martial arts and the ancestor of the immortal path, a high vantage point dictates all, and a casual remark could enlighten them immensely. Even if the ancestor of martial arts did not provide guidance, just to see such an existence was extremely worthwhile. After all, most Jade Immortals wouldn't see the ancestor of the immortal path even once in millions or tens of millions of years. While the many Jade Immortals patiently waited outside the city, the Lord of Kangwu Immortal City flew out, looked towards the gathering of Jade Immortals and announced, "Fellow Taoists, the martial ancestor is willing to see you." Upon hearing this, all the visiting Jade Immortals were deeply shaken. Their haste to arrive was for the sole purpose of meeting the martial ancestor, wasn't it? Yet without the martial ancestor's permission, they dared not enter Kangwu Immortal City on their own and could only wait outside the city. Under the leadership of the Lord of Kangwu Immortal City. The first batch of Jade Immortals entered the Immortal City one after another, and came to the cave mansion area, where they saw a young man sitting cross-legged. Greetings to the martial ancestor. Greetings to the martial ancestor. Greetings to the martial ancestor. Even just by looking from afar, all the Jade Immortals trembled in their hearts, as they could not sense the specific aura of the martial ancestor. Before seeing the martial ancestor, many images had already surfaced in their minds, such as how formidable and terrifying the aura of the martial ancestor was, enough to collapse space and time and so on. But when they actually met the martial ancestor, they found themselves utterly unable to perceive his might. Lin Yuan opened his eyes, smiling as he looked at the many Jade Immortals. Next, I will explain to you what martial Tao is. Lin Yuan's willingness to meet these Jade Immortals was not out of sheer kindness, but rather to prepare for the spread of martial Tao. The propagation of martial Tao is crucial at the grassroots level, but it is equally important to spread it among the higher levels. The Jade Immortals gathered here were essentially the top-notch powerhouses of the immortal realm. Although they all practiced the immortal path cultivation system, they all had numerous disciples and descendants, and were leaders of their respective forces. If these Jade Immortals recognized the potential and power of martial Tao, even if they did not switch to cultivating martial Tao themselves, their descendants and disciples would surely consider it as an alternative when choosing their cultivation system. Thus, Lin Yuan's goal would be achieved. Of course, doing so was not without risks, as it might provoke the resentment of the top-tier powerhouses, but Lin Yuan had already reached an agreement with the ancestor of the demon abyss, so spreading martial Tao was nothing out of the ordinary. Explaining martial Tao? The martial ancestor is imparting his teachings. The thoughts of the many Jade Immortals drifted. Before the martial ancestor, there was only one being in the immortal realm who had imparted the path, and that was the ancestor of the immortal path. What is imparting the path? It is to express one's own path and make it known to all beings in heaven and earth. The numerous Jade Immortals' thoughts fluctuated, but soon they no longer had the energy to ponder these matters, as they quickly became engrossed in Lin Yuan's explanation of the essence of martial Tao. At the innermost depths of the immortal realm, the rules of the great Tao easily manifest here. Several figures have gathered here. They are all direct disciples of the ancestor of the immortal path, authorized to reside permanently in the primordial lands. Origin of the immortal realm, the safest place in the immortal realm, unaffected by any turmoil outside, even the rampages of the Emperor of demonic beings cannot reach here. Chapter 922 Entering the Origin of the Immortal Realm. Please subscribe. Yes. The disciples present immediately bowed in response. To their revered master, ancestor of the immortal path, they showed absolute compliance, even considering asking the ancestor of martial Tao to come and apologize because they felt that their master's dignity had been compromised. Remember, after the ancestor of the immortal path finished speaking, his figure vanished. Master, has Master emerged from seclusion? It took a while before a few disciples lifted their heads and exchanged glances. Despite the unprecedented carnage of the recent war between immortals and demons, resulting in 3 immortal cities being overrun by demonic forces, the ancestor of the immortal path had not emerged from seclusion, nor had he intervened to deal with the demons. But now, the ancestor of the immortal path had actively emerged? What was the reason? Were they just about to suppress the ancestor of martial Tao? Could it be that the rumors outside are true? The thought surfaced in the hearts of the disciples. The ancestor of the immortal path manifested in person, warning them not to overstep against the ancestor of martial Tao, although he did not explain the reason. But all the top Jade immortals present were incredibly perceptive, able to deduce many reasons from the command. And in all the reasons they surmised there was one common thread. That was the ancestor of the immortal path harbored immense wariness towards the ancestor of martial Tao. Otherwise, with the capabilities of the ancestor of the immortal path, how could he possibly appear just to issue a warning? Not to mention the fact that the ancestor of martial Tao did indeed overstep in some respects. And the wariness of the ancestor of the immortal path further underscored that the ancestor of martial Tao existed on the same level as the ancestor of the immortal path. Ancestor of martial Tao. The leading direct disciple took a deep breath, only now realizing what he had just done, demanding an existence on the same level as his master to come and apologize? Lucky that he was stopped by his master, otherwise if he actually proceeded, even if protected by his master, he probably would never be able to leave the primordial lands again. Kangwu Immortal City. Lin Yuan spent half a day expounding on the essence of martial Tao. Through explanation he also reinterpreted his understanding of martial Tao, especially as he had already opened up 90% of the 9th rank martial Tao chapter. Thank you, martial ancestor, for your guidance. The multitude of Jade immortals below bowed respectfully. If before they came to Kangwu Immortal City, their awe of the martial ancestor originated from his invincible power. Now the reverence all Jade immortals felt was for martial ancestor himself. Even though their cultivation did not follow martial Tao, as all paths of great Tao lead to the same destination. Lin Yuan's understanding of cosmic rules meant that despite a different path, he could still substantially help the Jade immortals present. You may all leave now. Lin Yuan waved his hand. All at once, the Jade immortals felt a shift in space-time and in an instant, they found themselves outside Kangwu Immortal City. The martial Tao expounded by martial ancestor truly is a grand path that ascends to the heavens. Indeed, I feel it's in no way inferior to the immortal path. What a pity that our paths are already set. Otherwise, I really would like to give martial Tao a try. The various Jade immortals were exhilarated, unsure if it was an illusion. They felt that listening to Lin Yuan's teachings this time had helped them more than listening to the ancestral master. In facing the teachings of the ancestral master, they often encountered incomprehensible aspects, but martial ancestor's teachings? Every sentence was expressed in the simplest and most understandable form. Martial ancestor, impressive. The second ancestral master of my immortal realm. Each of the Jade immortals was very certain in their hearts. Before today the immortal realm only had one ancestral master, and the demon abyss had one as well. But after today martial ancestor will become the second ancestral master of the immortal realm, the third of the immortal realm and demon abyss. Kangwu Immortal City. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. S.E. the Novelier. N.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Spending half a day lecturing to the many Jade immortals was merely one of Lin Yuan's avatars. After a few more lectures, I reckon martial Tao can take root thoroughly in the immortal realm. Lin Yuan nodded slightly. His audience of learners were all Jade immortals, and only by gaining the recognition of these powerful beings could martial Tao flourish rapidly in the immortal realm without interference from ancestral master-level forces. The 12th layer? Lin Yuan's gaze was profound as he dimly perceived the river of time of the immortal realm. At this moment he could leap out of the river of time whenever he wished, attempting the ultimate breakthrough. With the 7th realm of space-time, combined with Lin Yuan's various foundational strengths such as the heart of time, he felt that the likelihood of his succeeding in the ultimate breakthrough was very high. But there is still the possibility of failure. Lin Yuan carefully considered. No matter how high the likelihood, it was still just a possibility. Attempting the ultimate breakthrough in the immortal realm as opposed to in the main universe bears no significant difference, and even due to me not being born in the immortal realm, some risks might emerge, Lin Yuan thought to himself. He did entertain the thought of trying in the immortal realm, but it lacked significance. No matter whether in the immortal realm or the main universe, failure in a breakthrough attempt still spelled death. Lin Yuan was unsure whether, in the event of a final failure, his spirit and will could survive by escaping into the Myriad Realms Gate, but it's always good to prepare for the worst in everything. Chaos Rule. Lin Yuan took a slow breath. As long as he grasped the Chaos Rule, coupled with his current foundation, not to say that stepping into the ultimate realm would be guaranteed, but at least the chances would be much higher than they are now. Furthermore, realizing the Chaos Rule at the life level of the 11th layer would bring great benefits to his own transformation, especially when breaking through in the main universe, and he would receive an infusion of the Chaos Void origin, which his mastery of the Chaos Rule would greatly enhance. Greetings, teacher. Greetings, martial ancestor. Li Qing, Shanyang, Nie Yun, and others stood below with the utmost respect. After entering the immortal realm and adapting for a considerable period, they finally accepted this truth. I have already reshaped your flesh for you. The path of cultivation ahead will be somewhat easier, Lin Yuan said indifferently. With Lin Yuan's current realm and strength, reshaping flesh was trivially easy. One thought could mobilize the power of heaven and earth within the immortal realm to achieve it. Of course, reshaping flesh is just that, reshaping flesh. If one wishes to walk further on the martial Tao evolutionary path, to step into the 9th, 10th, or even 11th stage, it still depends on oneself. A strong physical body can only make for a higher starting point. As for how far one ultimately goes, these are actually not so important. Most of the 12th-tier ultimate beings in the main universe come from ordinary clans. Among those who achieve the 12th tier with a unique and unparalleled life form, there is only one. Most of the 12th-tier powerhouses in the Star Alliance are normal special life forms. Venerated martial ancestor rank. Li Qing and the others immediately responded. You may all leave now. Lin Yuan waved his hand, watching Li Qing and the others depart. Parents? Lin Yuan's gaze shifted, and the situation of Jun Dongjin and others appeared before his eyes. Compared to beings like Li Qing at the pinnacle of the 8th layer of martial Tao, Jun Dongjin only had the strength of the refining void period when he died. After entering the immortal realm, they would need much longer to adapt than Li Qing and the others. This is all I can do, Lin Yuan thought silently to himself. He went against the current, revived his relatives who had traversed twice, and reshaped their flesh, extending their lives by millions or tens of millions of years. Next, if they wanted to advance further, there was not much more Lin Yuan could help with. It's time to head to the primordial lands of the immortal realm. Lin Yuan's figure vanished and reappeared beneath the irregular fissure in the cave mansion area. After stepping into the 7th realm of time and space, Lin Yuan planned to venture into the origin of the immortal realm for experience, and he had informed the ancestor of the demon abyss about this. Let's go. This incarnation of Lin Yuan immediately entered the irregular fissure. The nature of the irregular fissure is a passage that leads to the primordial lands of the immortal realm. However, this passage is extremely dangerous, filled with numerous spatial-temporal storms, and even a top Jade Immortal would face life and death risks if they recklessly entered. But Lin Yuan is not a Jade Immortal. Even before he stepped into the 7th realm of space and time, Lin Yuan already possessed the strength to enter the primordial lands through the irregular fissure. It was only because of his wariness towards the ancestor of the immortal path that he did not do so. Now, with insights obtained in the 7th realm of space and time, there's naturally no problem. Boom boom boom, the irregular fissure's channel is endless at first glance, filled with a labyrinth of terrifying spatial-temporal storms. Lin Yuan strolled leisurely, all the raging forces of space-time becoming incredibly calm when they came within 100 yards of him. Lin Yuan walked within the irregular fissure, this passage to the primordial lands of the immortal realm, which was initially extremely narrow but became more spacious the deeper he went. Fluctuations of rules. Lin Yuan hadn't yet entered the primordial lands but already felt waves of massive rule fluctuations rushing towards him, with various rules manifesting before his eyes and their operational details flooding into his mind. How marvelous! Lin Yuan observed attentively, feeling as if countless inspirations were exploding within him. All of these flashes of insight mainly came from pillar-level fusion rules and the like. As for the spatiotemporal fusion rule, there was very little in comparison. Now, Lin Yuan's insights into the spatiotemporal fusion rule have already reached their limit. This limit refers not to Lin Yuan's own, but to that of the immortal realm. To go further than this is not something that can be comprehended while residing in the immortal realm. Golden rules? 5 elements rules? Cycle of the 5 elements rule? Infinite rules, space rules, infinite space rules? Pinnacle of chaos rule? Material illusion rule? A multitude of pillar-level rules continuously poured into Lin Yuan's heart, many of which Lin Yuan had never previously encountered. Now they surged forth like rivers entering the sea. Chapter 923 Immortal Realm Consciousness. Please subscribe. The origin of the immortal realm is located in the deepest part of the immortal realm, where the rules and pathways are as if substantiated. Perceiving rules here is much easier than outside. It's much like an open book exam. Since Lin Yuan visited the ancestor of the demon abyss, the ancestor of the immortal path has been waiting for Lin Yuan to come over. For the ancestor of the immortal path, since he couldn't pose any threat to Lin Yuan, he surely intended to make friends. Having one more ally is much better than having one more enemy. Therefore, the ancestor of the immortal path planned to thoroughly introduce the many wonders of the primordial lands after Lin Yuan's arrival. This was also the purpose of the ancestor of the immortal path's wait for Lin Yuan. What the ancestor of the immortal path did not expect was, Lin Yuan, before even entering the origin of the immortal realm, had already fallen into a state of sudden enlightenment. It is known, the higher the realm, the more difficult it is to achieve sudden enlightenment. When the ancestor of the immortal path stepped into the 12th layer, he entered the origin of the immortal realm and practiced arduously for 100 billion years, ultimately with the help of the environment of the primordial lands. He barely welcomed a moment of sudden enlightenment. The talent and ability of the ancestor of the immortal path were undoubtedly the strongest since the birth of the immortal realm, from nothing to creating the immortal cultivation system, and finally stepping into the 12th layer. In some ways, it was the immortal realm that limited the ancestor of the immortal path. If he had been in the main universe, the limit of the ancestor of the immortal path might have been even higher. Could it be that the environment outside the primordial lands is more conducive to sudden enlightenment? A ludicrous thought flashed through the mind of the ancestor of the immortal path. But it was immediately dismissed. The cultivation environment outside the primordial lands definitely couldn't compare to the inside. That Lin Yuan could fall into sudden enlightenment before even entering the primordial lands only indicated that this ancestor of martial arts had amassed too profound a foundation, far surpassing his own centuries-long ardent practice in the primordial lands. Thus, even a slight stimulus from the primordial lands induced a state of sudden enlightenment. Just right. The ancestor of the immortal path nodded slightly, his figure appeared outside the primordial lands, looking distantly at Lin Yuan, planning to protect him for a while during his period of enlightenment. I originally thought that you would practice for a long time in the origin of the immortal realm before you would experience a moment of sudden enlightenment, but it came even before you entered. The ancestor of the immortal path felt quite emotional. Lucky indeed. Lin Yuan said with a smile. Luck? The eyebrows of the ancestor of the immortal path raised. At their level, the so-called sudden enlightenment does not involve luck. Regular accumulation is quantitative change, and sudden enlightenment is qualitative change, but without the previous quantitative change, there can be no qualitative sudden enlightenment. With the foundation of the ancestor of martial arts, when do you plan to try for the ancestral realm? The ancestor of the immortal path looked at Lin Yuan, probing. He could see that Lin Yuan was still at the Jade Immortal level, even though Lin Yuan's essence of life was incredibly strong, yet he remained a Jade Immortal. Although the ancestor of the immortal path had never seen such a strong Jade Immortal, since it was a Jade Immortal, one must consider advancing to the ancestral realm. The ancestral realm, also known as the Tao Ancestor Realm, is referred to as Ancestral Immortal Realm. I plan to accumulate a bit more. Lin Yuan spoke. Even if he intends to make a final leap, he will definitely choose to do so in the main universe, for it will once more bear a Chaos Void origin infusion. And the immortal realm simply does not have this. As a 12th layer ultimate, the ancestor of the immortal path's realm strength is much weaker than that of a 12th layer ultimate from the main universe, not only because there are no peers at the same level but also because stepping into the 12th layer did not involve a Chaos Void origin infusion. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Rules are not static, they are alive. Perceiving just one rule is certainly not as good as perceiving multiple rules at the same time. The collision between different rules during their perception leads to a greater improvement than what a single rule can provide. For a time, Lin Yuan's mind once again fell into abundant insights. However, having previously adapted to the epiphanies outside the origin source land, he did not immediately enter into an enlightened state. The origin source land is vast and expansive, and over there is where I reside with my disciple, said the ancestor of the immortal path as he slightly raised his hand, pointing in one direction. Following the direction of his hand, Lin Yuan saw a continent quietly suspended there, which was clearly constructed by the ancestor of the immortal path. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a conspicuous creation within the origin source land. You, as the ancestor of martial arts, can freely choose a place within the origin source land to practice and gain insights, or you can create a continent like I did, bringing your disciples along to perceive together, said the ancestor of the immortal path with a slight smile. Understood, Lin Yuan nodded. Also, within the origin source land you can go to most places, but there is one location you must be cautious about, as it is where the consciousness of the immortal realm resides, said the ancestor of the immortal path while looking at Lin Yuan and waving his hand, manifesting a vast map, which was a map of the origin source land. Nearly 99% of the areas on the map were empty, with only the central spot marked in red. The consciousness of the immortal realm? Lin Yuan thoughtfully murmured. Lin Yuan was already aware that worlds have consciousness. Even the vastly larger main universe has its own consciousness. However, the consciousness of a world is unlike that of a human. It possesses only instincts devoid of specific emotions. Normally, the consciousness of the world does not manifest and merely maintains the operation of the world in silence. But if something occurs that damages the world, its consciousness will intervene. For instance, in the main universe, if those ultimate beings of the 12th layer dare to leave the main universe, they will face the rebuke of the entire cosmos. The source of this rebuke, naturally, is the consciousness of the main universe. The 12th layer ultimates have absorbed massive amounts of energy from the main universe. Leaving would be akin to severing a large chunk of flesh from it, which is utterly intolerable for the main universe. Therefore, the moment for the 12th layer ultimates to leave the main universe comes only when the universe collapses into destruction, and its consciousness also falls into slumber. The consciousness of the immortal realm is very wary of us. If we get too close, it is very likely to attract the suppression of the entire power of the immortal realm. The ancestor of the immortal path said with a sense of helplessness. As a being of the 12th layer, the ancestor of the immortal path was already equivalent to the immortal realm. However, being equivalent does not mean being able to contend. Faced with the power of the entire immortal realm, the ancestor of the immortal path still found it difficult to oppose. Of course, it's not realistic for the consciousness of the immortal realm to suppress a 12th layer consciousness for a long time. It would require a vast amount of energy, and it might even lead to the premature end of the immortal epic's collapse. Therefore, the ancestor of the immortal path and the consciousness of the immortal realm have implicitly reached a balance. I won't provoke you and you won't provoke me. I understand. Lin Yuan nodded. Compared to the ancestor of the immortal path, Lin Yuan had a deeper understanding of world consciousness. Then I will go back first. Should you have any more questions, my friend, you can contact me at any time. After the ancestor of the immortal path finished speaking, his form disappeared, and Lin Yuan clearly felt that the aura of the ancestor of the immortal path appeared on that continent that was created. I should also begin my enlightenment. Lin Yuan no longer paid attention to the ancestor of the immortal path and immediately dedicated all his focus to the primordial lands where the essence of Tao rules were manifesting everywhere. Your natural aptitude is incredible. Watching the manifestation of many rule essences, your understanding of myriad rules has improved. In the blink of an eye, 200 years passed. Lin Yuan leisurely floated around in various parts of the primordial lands. In 200 years, Lin Yuan had comprehended tens of thousands of pillar-level fusion rules. The faintly forming egg within his inner world became increasingly distinct, emanating various rule auras and imbuing Lin Yuan's inner world with the flavor of the primordial lands. I can feel it, where the consciousness of the immortal realm resides, the fluctuations of rules there are more pronounced. No, that's not just fluctuations anymore, that is the rules themselves. Lin Yuan opened his eyes and looked towards the central location of the primordial lands. Actually, arriving at this conclusion was not difficult. Why did the ancestor of the immortal path know that approaching the consciousness of the immortal realm would risk suppression? It's because the ancestor of the immortal path too had discovered that where the consciousness of the immortal realm lay dormant was the source of all rules in the immortal realm. The so-called rule manifestation fluctuations in the primordial lands all originate from there. If one could enter that place to comprehend the rules, it would be far more beneficial than staying in the rest of the primordial lands. Although I have found the direction to comprehend the chaos rule, to actually nurture the chaos rule, there is still a long way to go. If I could face the essence of all rules of the immortal realm directly. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and decided to attempt to approach the location where the consciousness of the immortal realm resided. Since the ancestor of the immortal path had previously approached and even touched it and was still okay, there's no reason to think there would be any problems for Lin Yuan. In terms of life-saving abilities, Lin Yuan was even above the ancestor of the immortal path. And now, the one at the primordial lands was just a manifestation of Lin Yuan. Even if he was really suppressed by the consciousness of the immortal realm, it wouldn't matter much. At worst, he would send another manifestation in. Before long, Lin Yuan approached the vicinity of the consciousness of the immortal realm. Just being in the vicinity, a terrifying consciousness pressure emanated, causing the entire primordial lands to tremble. Such a huge reaction? Lin Yuan was slightly surprised, but he quickly understood. The location of the immortal realm consciousness in the primordial lands is equivalent to Lin Yuan's spirit world. It is the most fundamental existence. When an external force approaches, especially a powerful external force, it will definitely trigger the highest alert from the consciousness of the immortal realm. Boom. Ignoring the warnings from the consciousness of the immortal realm, Lin Yuan continued to approach. Soon, the consciousness of the immortal realm mobilized the entire power of the primordial lands, rolling towards Lin Yuan to crush him. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 925 For thousands of years, please subscribe. Is the immortal realm consciousness enraged? Sir, the novel fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The tremors in the primordial lands were sensed by the ancestor of the immortal path immediately. Is it the ancestor of martial arts drawing near to the immortal realm consciousness? The ancestor of the immortal path looked toward the very center of the primordial lands and felt no surprise. Although he had long warned Lin Yuan that the consciousness of the immortal realm is terrifying and could easily mobilize the power of the entire immortal realm, the place where the immortal realm consciousness resides contains all the rules of the immortal realm, a temptation far too great, which is why he had once approached the immortal realm consciousness himself. And as a result he had suffered quite a setback. Now that Lin Yuan is approaching the consciousness of the immortal realm, he must have discovered this as well. Let's see how long the ancestor of martial arts can withstand the immortal realm consciousness. The ancestor of the immortal path wondered with slight curiosity. Even if one is an ancestral immortal, they cannot directly confront the entire immortal realm. It's all about how long they can resist. The ancestor of the immortal path was ready to assist, once he saw that Lin Yuan might not be able to withstand it any longer. Having experienced a confrontation with the immortal realm consciousness, the ancestor of the immortal path was confident he could retreat with Lin Yuan unharmed, thereby gaining a favor from the ancestor of martial arts. Right now, the immortal realm consciousness is merely mobilizing the power of the primordial lands, which is still normal, but once it mobilizes the power of the entire immortal realm, that will be truly fearsome. The ancestor of the immortal path focused closely, rapidly pondering in his mind. Whoosh! A terrifying force swept over, enveloping Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan did not attempt to resist at all, knowing that in terms of the hierarchy of power, he was even inferior to the ancestor of the immortal path, let alone the immortal realm consciousness. The biggest reliance Lin Yuan dared to draw close was his comprehension of the rules, specifically his comprehension of time-space. The seventh realm comprehension of time-space allowed Lin Yuan to reign over the immortal realm on the temporal and spatial plane, which was also why the ancestor of the demon abyss attempt to break through a certain region's time-space couldn't affect Lin Yuan. Boom. The furious force from the origin power in an instant swept past Lin Yuan, then charged into the distance. It didn't touch me? Lin Yuan felt certain in his heart. As long as the immortal realm consciousness couldn't touch him, everything would be manageable. If the immortal realm consciousness could lock onto the location of Lin Yuan's true body, then he would definitely no longer approach. Without touching Lin Yuan, the immortal realm consciousness didn't stop. Instead it continued to gather the power of the entire primordial lands to suppress him. Lin Yuan did not interfere, but continued to slowly approach the location where the immortal realm consciousness resided. Several days passed quickly. Perhaps realizing that it couldn't touch Lin Yuan, after a brief pause, a wave of consciousness emerged, indicating that the immortal realm consciousness wanted to communicate with Lin Yuan. The immortal realm consciousness, being a consciousness, could certainly communicate. It just never needed to against the ancestor of the immortal path previously. But now Lin Yuan's presence made the immortal realm consciousness feel troubled to at least no end, which is why it initiated communication. Let me in to experience the rules themselves. Lin Yuan communicated his purpose as well. Impossible, the immortal realm consciousness responded furiously, outright refusing. Its location was at the core of the primordial lands, the very source where the consciousness of the immortal realm was born. It's not just the source of the myriad rules of the immortal realm but also the foundation of its own consciousness. If Lin Yuan were to enter, what he could do would not be limited to perceiving the rules themselves but also laying hands directly on the immortal realm consciousness. Outside the core area, the immortal realm consciousness could easily mobilize the power of the entire realm, omnipresent, but within the core, the power of the immortal realm couldn't penetrate. Even the force of the origin power couldn't affect it. In the core, the immortal realm consciousness was like a toothless tiger. I promise I won't lay a hand on you, Lin Yuan immediately stated. Having once replaced the world consciousness of the Tianqing world, he knew exactly what these consciousnesses feared most, so he quickly gave his assurance. However, the immortal realm consciousness did not respond to him. It even quieted down the boiling primordial lands swiftly. Not willing to communicate with me? Lin Yuan thought for a moment and continued to approach the core where the immortal realm consciousness resided. Very soon, Lin Yuan stopped. A time-space barrier? Lin Yuan gazed at the distorted space-time before him. Even with his seventh realm time-space comprehension, he couldn't advance any further at this moment. It seems this is your reliance? Lin Yuan had a sense of it in his mind. To enter the core where the immortal realm consciousness resided, besides facing the frenzied counterattack from the immortal realm consciousness, one must also cross the time-space barrier before them. Divine skills. Rend the heavens. In the pitch-black space, countless points of light were floating, with the smallest being the size of a fist and the largest as vast as stars. This is marvelous. Lin Yuan observed each point of light, even the smallest of which contained countless pieces of information. They represented the rules themselves. Even though Lin Yuan had already thoroughly comprehended these rules, a fresh observation was still immensely valuable. As the immortal path enters its end times, these core points of light will collapse one by one, corresponding to the collapse of the great Tao in the outer world. After the collapse of all the rules contained in these points of light, will they vaguely merge together, waiting for rebirth after a long period of destruction? Lin Yuan thought to himself. Upon entering the core area, he had immediately fallen into an enlightened state, with rules being comprehended and understood in every moment. Is that the actual body of the consciousness of the immortal realm? Lin Yuan glanced over with the remaining focus of his mind and spotted a glowing orb floating in the distance. This orb was different from the other points of light around it, and it was the consciousness of the immortal realm. At this moment, the orb was watching Lin Yuan with extreme wariness. The concerns of the consciousness of the immortal realm were clear to Lin Yuan, who at this moment couldn't be bothered to reassure it, completely immersing his mind in the endless points of light around him. Time passed. Unknowingly, 1,000 years had gone by. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. By spreading the martial Tao cultivation system and single-handedly ending the war between immortals and demons, he silenced many disciples of the ancestor of the immortal path lineage. Although the ancestor of martial arts has not made a move since the war between immortals and demons over 1,000 years ago, the reaction of the disciples from the ancestor of the immortal path lineage reveals a lot of information. It is said that in the Xintian immortal domain, a martial arts powerhouse has specifically founded an immortal city called Kaiyuan Martial City, where many martial arts powerhouses converge, including the disciples of the ancestor of martial arts who reside there. I've heard about it too. At the inauguration of Kaiyuan Martial City, celestial phenomena emerged, and even the direct disciples of the ancestor of the immortal path lineage went to offer their congratulations. One wonders where the ancestor of martial arts is now. The immortals speak with a sense of wistfulness. Many ancient immortals have lived for countless eons and witnessed numerous prodigious powerhouses. Yet someone like the ancestor of martial arts, who became an ancestral master upon emergence, that is beyond the imagination of all immortals. That is an ancestral master. Since the formation of the immortal realm, even including that of the demon abyss, there were only two ancestral masters. Many immortals even believed that a third ancestral master-level powerhouse would never emerge. Drunken Dream Tower's Class A Palace. This is where Drunken Dream Tower specifically entertains distinguished guests. Only top-level Jade immortals are admitted. Lin Yuan is sitting inside. Naturally, the conversations and discussions of the many immortals in Drunken Dream Tower cannot escape his ears. For over 1,000 years, Lin Yuan's true self and two primordial spirits have been dedicated to arduous cultivation and enlightenment of the Tao. Additionally, he also creates avatars to wander the immortal realm. The Lin Yuan sitting in the Class A Great Hall of Drunken Dream Tower at this moment is one such avatar, who came casually upon hearing the fame of the Drunken Dream Immortal Brew. The evolution pathway of martial arts is developing nicely. Lin Yuan sits cross-legged, pondering silently. This could be discerned from the discussions of many immortals within Drunken Dream Tower. In over 1,000 years, the martial Tao evolutionary pathway has not produced many martial arts powerhouses. Apart from Lin Yuan, the strongest is still Li Qin. However, the number of cultivators and the breadth of dissemination of the martial Tao evolutionary pathway have almost encompassed all 33 immortal domains. Lin Yuan is quite satisfied with this. Given the current foundation of the martial Tao evolutionary pathway, provided that there is enough time, in hundreds of thousands or millions of years, it will be not the slightest bit weaker than the immortal path cultivation system, birthing martial arts powerhouses of the 11th order. Lin Yuan gently closes his eyes and before him, the vista abruptly turns pitch black, densely dotted with sparkling stars. Each point of starlight symbolizes a martial Tao cultivator. At this moment, the multitude of starlight Lin Yuan perceives is vast and stretches beyond the immortal realm. Lin Yuan is not only spreading the martial Tao in the immortal realm. In the 3,333 subordinate worlds like the spirit realm, the martial Tao evolutionary pathway is also being disseminated. Although the spirit realm is far from comparable to the immortal realm, and even when all 3,333 subordinate worlds are combined, they do not match the size of a single immortal domain in the immortal realm. But a mosquito is still flesh, and to enhance his own ultimate leap in foundation, Lin Yuan will not overlook any opportunity to strengthen himself. Given enough time, Lin Yuan even plans to spread the martial arts in worlds like the central divine continent of the spirit realm, a subordinate world of the spirit realm with up to 1,000,000 subordinate worlds. The same is true for the other 3,332 subordinate worlds of the immortal realm. Now, the number of beings practicing the martial Tao evolutionary pathway might even surpass the combined number of practitioners of the 9 supreme evolutionary pathways of human civilization. Lin Yuan thought to himself internally. The immortal realm alone is comparable to 1% of the main universe in size. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Even Jade immortal level existences who wish to taste the immortal brew would not opt for the dream level, as the risk is too great. Even though the Drunken Dream Tower has a good reputation, fully plunging into a dream can be quite embarrassing. No matter. Lin Yuan waved his hand. The owner of the Drunken Dream Tower personally brought the immortal brew to Lin Yuan. Please drink, immortal monarch. The owner of Drunken Dream Tower watched Lin Yuan with an expectant expression. The formula for the immortal brew is adjusted periodically based on the responses of those immortals who drink it. Other levels of immortal brew are okay with many immortals consuming them, and the owner of the Drunken Dream Tower covertly observing and adjusting. But the dream-level immortal brew? Even if a Jade immortal wishes to try the taste of the dream-level immortal brew, they usually buy it to drink in their own dwelling. That way, even if they fall into a deep dream, they can ensure their own safety. Those daring to order and directly drink the dream-level immortal brew in the Drunken Dream Tower are truly very few. The owner of the Drunken Dream Tower certainly did not want to miss this very rare observation opportunity. Lin Yuan glanced at the immortal brew before him and directly picked it up to drink. The taste is quite decent. Lin Yuan savored it thoughtfully, and indeed, the dream-level immortal brew could nourish the spirit and will. However, Lin Yuan's spiritual will was extremely strong, so the hallucinogenic effects of the brew almost had no effect on him. Lin Yuan came to taste the immortal brew more as a trial, just to enjoy the gastronomic pleasure. Spiritual will strength increased a bit? Lin Yuan raised an eyebrow, unsure if it was due to the immortal brew, but at this moment, his spiritual will had slightly increased, imperceptibly. After over 1,000 years of cultivating at the core of the origin of the immortal realm and understanding the rules of the immortal realm itself, Lin Yuan's spiritual will strength had already increased to over 3,340,000 points. The taste, quite decent? The owner of the Drunken Dream Tower was slightly stunned, even doubting whether she served Lin Yuan the wrong brew, not the dream level but a regular immortal brew? Otherwise, how could Lin Yuan still evaluate it so calmly now? How's the taste? From the host of Drunken Dream Tower's perspective, shouldn't Lin Yuan's normal reaction after drinking the dream-level immortal brew be to quickly fall into a dream, so she could thoroughly observe his reaction? This is immortal crystal. Lin Yuan left behind immortal crystals to pay for the dream-level immortal brew and vanished within the palace. With Lin Yuan's current power being in the origin of the immortal realm, he could condense as many immortal crystals as he desired if he wished. He really didn't fall into a dream? Chapter 928 Shattered, returning tomorrow, requesting monthly votes at the start of the month for guaranteed minimum, compared to 1,000 years ago. At this moment, the egg formed by the nurturing of countless rules within the world inside his body has already solidified into a substantial form. Even Lin Yuan can feel the vast fluctuations within the egg. What is being nurtured inside should be the chaos rule. Lin Yuan gazed at the towering gigantic egg, thinking to himself. In a certain sense, this egg is the Tao fruit that he has been comprehending for 1,000 years, or to be precise, the culmination of his comprehension of many rules up to now. With the towering gigantic egg fully materialized, it means that Lin Yuan is infinitely close to grasping the chaos rule. At least now, the chaos rule for Lin Yuan is no longer elusive but tangible, much like the egg within the world inside his body. The chaos rule, Lin Yuan sighed inwardly. No wonder comprehending the chaos rule at level 11 is the stuff of legends within legends. Even for beings of Shenhuang Majesties and Moyu Tower Masters' caliber, they've only heard of it and never actually witnessed it in the chaos void. Because attaining comprehension of the chaos rule at level 11 is indeed too difficult. Lin Yuan, with his against heaven's understanding and the myriad realms gate, was able to traverse and descend upon the myriad worlds, taking advantage of the differences between various dimensions, as well as the opportunities of each world, to finally reach this step. As for other level 11 beings? To comprehend the chaos rule, how many Dieters would they have to take? How many resources would they have to exhaust? Perhaps a chaos realm powerhouse demonstrating the complete chaos rule might be somewhat helpful for comprehending the chaos rule. Lin Yuan silently pondered. Chaos realm entities at level 12 have basically comprehended the chaos rule, and can fully manifest the chaos rule they have comprehended. But manifesting it and making a level 11 life form comprehend it are entirely two different matters. The universe is replete with infinite mysteries in the heavens and the chaos void. But in the end, how many lives can reach the ultimate limit? 9th Stage Martial Tao First Tier Chapter. Bits and pieces about the First Tier Chapter floated through Lin Yuan's mind. 9th Stage Martial Tao First Tier Chapter. Lin Yuan began attempting its creation while still at Stage 10 and officially started perfecting it upon stepping into level 11. However, it was only in the recent decades, by utilizing the countless rules at the core of the primordial lands of the immortal realm, that Lin Yuan finally managed to complete the 9th Stage Martial Tao First Tier Chapter. Lin Yuan kept descending, gazing down upon the immortal realm with an overlooking stance. In Lin Yuan's vision, the immortal realm was vast and grand, a stable product formed by the incessant interweaving and influence of myriad rules. At the same time, another of Lin Yuan's primordial spirits was within the very origin core of the immortal realm, observing the many fundamental rules of the immortal realm from the minutest detail. The two combined. As if heaven and earth collided, all things began to shatter and rebirth. Over the past 1,000 years, the hundreds of thousands of rules Lin Yuan had comprehended seemed to undergo some kind of qualitative change, starting to slowly collapse and merge into one. Thump. A faint cracking sound resonated at the level of Lin Yuan's heart and mind. Lin Yuan's consciousness descended to his inner world. The towering giant egg, formed by the interweaving of countless rules, always lying across the sky. At some unknown time, a crack had appeared. Chapter 929 All Rules of the Great Tao Origin from Chaos. Please subscribe. Crack crack. Following the appearance of the first crack, on the surface of the immense egg, a second and third crack continuously appeared. Each crack quickly spread, expanded, and split. In an instant, the mighty egg, spawned from myriad rules, was covered in cracks. Chaos. At this moment, Lin Yuan's true body primordial spirit and all his avatars finally completely merged all the rules they comprehended. For 1,000 years, Lin Yuan had comprehended more and more rules, and many of these rules had already begun to fuse, and now they completely merged together. Boom. The cracked mighty egg silently collapsed, giving birth to a new rule. Overarching myriad rules spawned from them. This is chaos. Chaos rule. I finally comprehended the chaos rule. Lin Yuan opened his eyes. In the moment the chaos rule was born, Lin Yuan's all avatars and both primordial spirits mastered it instantly. Is this the chaos rule? Everything in Lin Yuan's view became simple. If the space-time rule is the foundation of all things and the movement of the world and the influence of rules cannot be separated from space-time rule, then the chaos rule is everything of all things, from space-time rule to the basic rules of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, all stem from the chaos rule. All grand Tao rules originate from chaos. My mind, will, my soul, my body, everything about me is getting stronger. After giving birth to the chaos rule, Lin Yuan felt everything about him transforming dramatically. In fact, it is very hard to advance further when one has reached the height like Lin Yuan. It's nearly impossible to experience a surge in strength unless one crosses a major boundary. 1,000 years ago and 1,000 years later, the latter Lin Yuan comprehended several million pillar-level fusion rules more than the former, but the strength difference between the two periods of Lin Yuan was not significant. Several million pillar-level fusion rules, although numerous, seemed like loose soil. Hard to form a unified power. But now, as the chaos rule was born, several million rules on the other shore quickly combined, forming a razor-sharp, indestructible blade. 40 million points of mind will. Lin Yuan slightly sensed and confirmed that his mind will had reached 40 million points. You should know the enhancement of mind awareness is not like the enhancement of the physical soul. Even immersed in the origin core of the immortal realm for 1,000 years, Lin Yuan only managed to increase it by tens of thousands of points. But now, just as the chaos rule was born, the mind will index has exceeded 40 million points, and it hasn't stopped yet. The mind will is still elevating. My perception of space and time is also rapidly improving. Lin Yuan secretly thought. Before comprehending the chaos rule, aided by the spacetime seventh realm, Lin Yuan could only manage to survive in front of the ancestor of the immortal path. Given the 12th layer ultimate foundation of the ancestor of the immortal path, even standing still and letting Lin Yuan attack, it would probably be hard to break through his defense. As Lin Yuan continuously operated the chaos rule and came into collision with the countless rules of the immortal realm, the entire operation of rules in the immortal realm began to tremble incessantly. In the primordial lands, Tao Ancestor Continent, the ancestor of the immortal path was in secluded cultivation, and even after stepping into the 12th layer, he still needed to comprehend many rules. Suddenly, the ancestor of the immortal path abruptly opened his eyes, revealing a trace of shock on his face. Why do I feel that all the rule fluctuations are trembling? The ancestor of the immortal path couldn't believe it. The fluctuations of the rules are orderly and stable. It is the perfect combination of countless rules that allows the world to function completely. Especially in the eyes of a 12th layer being like the ancestor of the immortal path, rule fluctuations seem to have their own life. But at this moment, the ancestor of the immortal path clearly perceived that all the rule fluctuations in the primordial lands, to be precise, all the rule fluctuations in the immortal realm, were beginning to become disorderly and chaotic. It was as if a formerly tranquil pond, where every stream of water was stable, now had a colossal being twisting deep within, causing undercurrents in the placid pond. However, the operation of the world covered by myriad rules already forms a perfect balance. It is not something you can disturb just because you want to, even for someone as powerful as the ancestor of the immortal path. Channeling his own way only allows him to affect the stability of the rules within a certain range. The current widespread chaos of rules throughout the immortal realm was causing some panic in the ancestor of the immortal path. What could be the reason? The ancestor of the immortal path scanned the entire primordial lands as well the 33 domains of the immortal domain. Even far off in the demon abyss, the ancestor of the demon abyss was similarly scrutinizing the vast demon abyss. Is it the ancestor of martial arts? After observing for a long time, the ancestor of the immortal path finally turned his gaze toward the core of the origin of the immortal realm, where the consciousness of the immortal realm resides. That is also where the ancestor of martial arts entered 1,000 years ago. The ancestor of the immortal path was uncertain what exactly was causing the current chaos of rules. But it was definitely not related to him. In the immortal realm and demon abyss, aside from himself, the only one capable of causing such an outcome is the unreachable ancestor of martial arts. Just what has the ancestor of martial arts done to bring about this situation? The ancestor of the immortal path felt waves of tumult in his heart. He could sense the trembling and fear of the primordial lands and the myriad rules of the immortal realm. Has there been a breakthrough stepping into the ancestral realm? The ancestor of the immortal path speculated in his mind, but then shook his head. He was himself at the ancestral realm and knew what kind of impact stepping into the ancestral realm would cause. Although it was immense and unimaginable, it was definitely not what was happening now. And up until now, the ancestor of the immortal path had not sensed any life breaking free from the shackles of the river of time, which meant that the ancestor of martial arts had not yet stepped into the ancestral realm. The operation of the chaos rule was first felt by the ancestor of the immortal path. It was then perceived by many golden immortals and jade immortals of the 33 domains of the immortal domain. Golden immortals, having penetrated the space rules, had a certain degree of sensitivity to space-time, and even more so for jade immortals. In comparison, the immortals below the golden immortals and the many mortals felt a less evident sensation. What on earth is happening? Why are the space rules beginning to destabilize? I'm feeling it too. Many fundamental rules are the same. In the 33 domains of the immortal domain, golden immortals and jade immortals looked fearful. The ancestor of the immortal path had already transcended his own Tao. External changes in rules would not have much impact on him. His foundation was eternally solid, which is the essence of the path-splitting realm. But what about the golden immortals and jade immortals? They are still at the stage of sensing many rules, heavily reliant on external rules. Even a slight disturbance could affect their foundations. Is it because of the ancestor of the immortal path? The ancestor of the demon abyss? Or the ancestor of martial arts? I think it must be the ancestor of martial arts. Indeed, before the ancestor of martial arts was revealed, billions of years passed without witnessing what has happened today. The ancestor of martial arts? Is this the doing of the ancestor of martial arts? The many golden and jade immortals were trembling with fear, not fools to have cultivated to their level, and had faintly speculated that all this might have something to do with the ancestor of martial arts. Of course. Even so, not a single golden or jade immortal dared to go to the martial city to inquire with the disciples of the ancestor of martial arts. What a joke. The ancestor of martial arts was able to cause a disturbance across the entire immortal realm, and even the ancestor of the immortal path and the ancestor of the demon abyss did not make any move, let alone these golden and jade immortals. Going to question them would be seeking death, wasn't it? Did they think they had lived too long? Almost enough. After Lin Yuan familiarized himself with the chaos rule, he gradually ceased. Lin Yuan saw the impact of the chaos rule on the myriad rules of the immortal realm. As the origin rule that reigns supreme above all else, the chaos rule naturally suppresses other rules. Even the space-time rule is no exception. The core of the origin of the immortal realm. Lin Yuan's gaze shifted, looking towards the immortal consciousness hiding in the corner. 1,000 years ago, when Lin Yuan entered here, he discovered the immortal consciousness as if facing a formidable enemy. However, he had always been too lazy to deal with it, focusing instead on comprehending the myriad of rules here. Seeing that Lin Yuan did not overreact, the immortal consciousness gradually let go of its guard and positioned itself beside Lin Yuan, dividing the core area in two. Ever since Lin Yuan had nurtured the chaos rule and actively released its origin rule aura, gently stimulating it to operate, the immortal consciousness immediately scurried like a mouse seeing a cat, without hesitation hiding in the furthest corner, trembling. This greatly surprised Lin Yuan. Although the immortal consciousness could not use the power of the immortal realm in this core area, Lin Yuan could still feel that the immortal consciousness had means to protect itself. 1,000 years ago, the immortal consciousness compromised and let Lin Yuan involuntarily. Besides the fact that Lin Yuan's threat was truly effective, the immortal consciousness itself had other cards up its sleeve. At least it was not completely defenseless against Lin Yuan. Are you afraid? Lin Yuan looked at the immortal consciousness hiding in the corner, proactively asking. The immortal consciousness was only instinctive, and its reactions came from inherent fear. Hum. Shortly after, the immortal consciousness promptly responded, clarifying Lin Yuan's doubts. Chapter 931 Return. End of this volume. Please subscribe. The consciousness of the immortal realm can easily mobilize the entire power of the immortal realm. Even the ancestor of the immortal path, a being of the 12th layer, must retreat before the vast power of the immortal realm. The entire immortal realm is like the body of the immortal realm's consciousness. Even if Lin Yuan enters the heart of the origin core, he cannot harness the power of the immortal realm from here. However, the consciousness of the immortal realm can still control the myriad rules themselves and contend with Lin Yuan. After all, the heart of the origin core is where the myriad rules exist, and the consciousness of the immortal realm also has control over these myriad rules themselves. But after Lin Yuan bred the chaos rule, he naturally suppressed all myriad rules, and the consciousness of the immortal realm sensed that even with control over myriad rules, it could not deal with Lin Yuan, and thus began to fear. After all, Lin Yuan, as of this moment, could erase the consciousness of the immortal realm by force if he so wished. Of course, the consciousness of the immortal realm still has the ability to resist, which is to actively self-destruct, leading to the collapse of the immortal realm. In doing so, the myriad rules of the immortal realm will actively converge into the chaos rule to counter Lin Yuan. But in doing so, the consciousness of the immortal realm will also collapse. Although a destroyed immortal realm would still be reborn and give birth to a new consciousness of the immortal realm, the future consciousness of the immortal realm would not be the same as the current one. Therefore, unless absolutely necessary, the consciousness of the immortal realm will definitely not choose to self-destruct. That is only slightly better than being erased. Rest assured, I will not erase you. Lin Yuan said casually, mainly because erasing the consciousness of the immortal realm brings him no benefit. Now that Lin Yuan has more or less comprehended the rules at the heart of the origin core of the immortal realm, erasing its consciousness does not help him much. In simple terms, whatever Lin Yuan could gain from the consciousness of the immortal realm, he has already obtained. If Lin Yuan truly pressures the consciousness of the immortal realm into a corner, forcing it to self-destruct and perish along with him, Lin Yuan would be indifferent. After all, he could return to the main universe at any moment, but the efforts of spreading martial Tao over 1,000 years in the 33 immortal domains of the immortal realm would then have been in vain. If the immortal realm itself ceases to exist, the martial Tao cultivators would naturally vanish as well. At that moment, a figure silently condensed in front of the ancestor of the immortal path. What? The ancestor of the immortal path's expression fluctuated wildly, for this is his Taoist sanctuary, akin to his domain, where the ancestor of the immortal path controls everything, yet someone got inside undetected. It wasn't until the figure appeared before his eyes that the ancestor of the immortal path noticed. The ancestor of martial arts? The ancestor of the immortal path gazed at the figure not far away, recognizing it to be the ancestor of martial arts. Ancestor of the immortal path. Lin Yuan gave a slight smile. I have come to see you today to bid farewell. Indeed, after breeding the chaos rule, the primordial lands no longer hold significance for Lin Yuan. With the remaining decades of his stay, Lin Yuan plans to wander about. Over the past millennium, Lin Yuan's incarnations have nearly visited every corner of the immortal realm. Yet beyond the immortal realm in the vast void, Lin Yuan has not explored much. Mainly because the void is so vast that even with Lin Yuan's perception of spacetime, he would find it dull and tedious over time. But now it's different. Having realized the chaos rule, the desolate void has, in Lin Yuan's eyes, started to become slightly interesting. Farewell? The ancestor of the immortal path's complexion changed slightly. Lin Yuan plans to leave the primordial lands for only one reason, that is, the rules manifesting from the primordial lands are no longer of any help to him. But how is that possible? The ancestor of the immortal path has cultivated in seclusion in the primordial lands for countless eons, and even now, he still feels that the manifest rules of the primordial lands resonate with him. And yet, Lin Yuan intends to leave after merely 1,000 years? Did fellow Taoist achieve a breakthrough? The ancestor of the immortal path asked tentatively. At this moment, the aura Lin Yuan exudes far surpasses that of 1,000 years ago. The ancestor of the immortal path feels tremendous pressure, especially given Lin Yuan's ability to appear before him silently. The ancestor of the immortal path is almost certain that the recent rule anomaly that affected the entire immortal realm originated from Lin Yuan. Something like that. Lin Yuan said with a smile. Nurturing the chaos rule has brought improvements to Lin Yuan that are nearly equivalent to transcending the ultimate boundary. If not for the infusion of the chaos void origin while attempting the ultimate breakthrough in the main universe, the benefits would almost be akin to that very transcendence. Something like that? The ancestor of the immortal path's thoughts were somewhat complicated. He didn't know in what way Lin Yuan had broken through, at least he could not sense the presence of a fellow ancestral master. But at this moment, Lin Yuan indeed posed a significant threat to the ancestor of the immortal path, a threat on the same level of strength. After I leave, I hope you will look after the many cultivators of the martial Tao lineage, Lin Yuan spoke. This statement could be a request but also a warning. Once the stay limit is reached, Lin Yuan will completely leave the immortal realm. Thus, Lin Yuan specifically came to remind the ancestor of the immortal path. I will certainly do my best for the lineage of fellow Taoist, the ancestor of the immortal path said seriously. Even if Lin Yuan had not achieved a breakthrough, the ancestor of the immortal path would not dare to harm the martial Tao lineage, let alone now, after the breakthrough? Before his breakthrough, the ancestor of the immortal path, although unable to do anything to Lin Yuan, equally, Lin Yuan couldn't do anything to the ancestor of the immortal path either. And now, the ancestor of the immortal path still can't affect Lin Yuan, yet Lin Yuan remains capable of posing a threat to the ancestor of the immortal path. I hope so. Lin Yuan nodded. Even after ending this traversal, Lin Yuan could still keep an eye on the changes within the martial Tao of the immortal realm. After reaching the 7th realm of space-time, Lin Yuan's control over the myriad realms gate has elevated by a level. He can slightly sense it even without the transmission of information from the demon tree. I wonder. The ancestor of the immortal path intended to inquire more about the details of Lin Yuan's breakthrough but realized that the latter had already disappeared. Ancestor of martial arts. The ancestor of the immortal path's gaze was slightly complicated. The time the ancestor of martial arts has emerged is incredibly short, just over 1,000 years to this day. But the influence on the immortal realm and even the ancestor himself is unprecedented. Could the breakthrough of the ancestor of martial arts be related to the consciousness of the immortal realm? The ancestor of the immortal path pondered, also yearning for a breakthrough, especially one of great magnitude like that of the ancestor of martial arts. CTH Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. With this in mind, the ancestor of the immortal path's figure vanished, and before long, he appeared outside the core area of the primordial lands. Rumbling sounds. Before the ancestor of the immortal path could react, he felt the overwhelming force of the immortal realm engulfing him. Begone. The consciousness of the immortal realm emitted fluctuations, and without hesitation, the ancestor of the immortal path retreated rapidly, leaving the area. The ancestor of the immortal path's expression turned unsightly. He didn't expect such a strong reaction from the consciousness of the immortal realm. He had only come to probe. Instead, he was directly expelled. Time has passed. In the blink of an eye, more than 90 years have flown by. In a void far from the immortal realm, Lin Yuan's figure stopped. The chaos rule coursed through his body, the chaos rule bred within the immortal realm, Lin Yuan also mastered it the instant he returned to the main universe. Boom, the entire Xinhuang secret realm began to vibrate slightly. Lin Yuan attracted that trace of chaotic power from the deepest part of the realm, faintly seeing a vision of an extremely ancient past. In the vast chaos void, there stood a towering figure dressed in a golden dragon robe, with fluttering black hair. He raised his right hand, sending 33,333 strands of chaotic power into the immense void, integrating them into 33,333 universes, forming the Xinhuang secret realm. Is that the Xinhuang? Startled in his heart, Lin Yuan had never seen the Xinhuang, but he was convinced that this towering figure was the Xinhuang. So this is how the Xinhuang secret realm came to be? The Xinhuang did not create it one by one but opened it up all at once? Lin Yuan thought to himself. When cultivating the illusory reality secret technique, he had seen the legacy image left by the Moyu Tower master, but compared to the present Xinhuang, seemed to be on a lower level. Of course, it's also possible that the image left by the Moyu Tower master was simply too trivial. 33,333 Xinhuang secret realms? Lin Yuan realized that, by using the chaos rule, he briefly connected to the chaotic origin of the Xinhuang secret realm, which is why he was able to see these visions. I should now fully control this secret realm, right? Lin Yuan thought to himself. After all, he was not the creator of the Xinhuang secret realm, and even as its new master, his control over the realm was still lacking that little bit. But now, after communicating with the chaotic origin of the Xinhuang secret realm, Lin Yuan could be said to have completely taken hold of the Xinhuang secret realm. Even if the Xinhuang returned, he could no longer contest with him for control over the realm. What happened? At a high point in the Xinhuang secret realm, a six-armed figure looked at the changes in the Xinhuang secret realm with shock. As the spirit of the Xinhuang secret realm, the six-armed figure naturally had complete control over every detail of the Xinhuang secret realm. At this moment, the vibration of the Xinhuang secret realm and the traction of its chaotic origin were likewise perceived by him. The chaotic origin of the secret realm. The six-armed figure could hardly believe it. The chaotic origin was the foundation of the Xinhuang secret realm, as well as the power left behind by the Xinhuang originally. Although it had been assimilated by the universe after merging, severing it from Xuanhuang's ownership, the level of power was clear. To attract the secret realm's chaotic origin, one must first comprehend the chaos rule, which the vast majority of those at the pinnacle of the dominator realm cannot achieve. Chaos rule? Has the master comprehended the chaos rule? The six-armed figure's mind was muddled. Merely grasping the chaos rule wasn't enough to attract the secret realm's chaotic origin. One must be the master of the Xinhuang secret realm to accomplish this. That is to say, the current changes in the Xinhuang secret realm stemmed from Lin Yuan, who had already realized the chaos rule. The master hasn't stepped into the 12th layer yet, right? The six-armed figure contemplated with difficulty. Without reaching the 12th layer? Comprehending the chaos rule? Even at Xuanhuang's level of realm, such an exceptional genius had never been seen before, only heard of in ancient records with no certainty whether such a being has ever existed. And now, this exceptional genius had actually appeared before him, a mere spirit of the secret realm? Master. Not far from Lin Yuan, the six-armed figure appeared, looking towards the young man sitting cross-legged in front of him, with chaos aura circulating around his body, and called out with a touch of awe. Lin Yuan looked towards the six-armed figure. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Following this, it would gradually reach tens to hundreds of thousands of light-years in diameter, which is the normal standard for level 12 ultimates. Theoretically, the internal world of a path-splitting realm powerhouse at level 12 would be between 100,000 and 1 million light-years. Yet at this moment, Lin Yuan's internal world exploded to reach 2 light-years and then slowed down. Of course, this doesn't mean that stepping into level 12 is harder than comprehending the chaos rule. On the contrary, the difficulty of comprehending the chaos rule is much higher than breaking through to level 12, not to mention comprehending the chaos rule at level 11. Who knows how many peak sovereigns are unable to comprehend the chaos rule and thus cannot advance further. Asiya the Nell Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Comprehending the chaos rule and stepping into level 12 focus on completely different aspects. The former leans more towards skill, while the latter is purely about the level of life. For example, a common individual who masters Grandmaster level skills, no matter how much they can eat, can at most consume several tens of gen of food in one meal. But a giant hundreds or thousands of meters tall can easily consume hundreds of tons of food. This is the difference brought about by different levels of life. Although my internal world cannot compare to the ultimate of level 12, I should be no weaker than those level 12 ultimates within the universe. Lin Yuan was very confident. His internal world was his weak point. In addition, his life's hierarchical stage is not as high as the ultimate 12th layer. But in terms of comprehending cosmic rules, Lin Yuan actually surpasses all who are at the ultimate 12th layer within the universe. This is true for both the 7th realm of spacetime and the chaos rule. Secondly, regarding his physical body, when the Xianhuang physique is cultivated to a level 11 perfect, it reaches the 12th layer's level. Now, having been nurtured by the chaos rule, it has been elevated even further. There is no need to mention the strength of his soul will. With a soul will index of 40 million points, even if soul weaknesses exist, Lin Yuan can easily ward off other ultimate 12th layer soul ultimates and psychic attacks. 12th layer. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment, feeling the continuous spread of his inner world and the strength of his physical body, etc. He decided to delay the assault on the 12th layer. At the ultimate time, he will once again withstand the infusion of the chaos void origin. The stronger the physical body, the inner world, and the soul are at that time, the more chaos void origin they can contain, and the greater the benefits gained. Currently, Lin Yuan's inner world is only 2 light years in diameter. The benefits brought by the chaos rule have not yet been completely digested. If he waits a bit longer, the final size of the inner world could reach 5 or even 10 light years. The capacity to contain the chaos void origin within an inner world of 5 or 10 light years would not merely be 3 or 5 times that of the current 2 light years but dozens of times the difference. Lin Yuan naturally does not wish to give up such benefits. At most, several decades will be needed to reach perfection, and then he'll assault the ultimate layer. Lin Yuan made up his mind. Several decades were nothing to him at his current level of strength. In fact, whether or not he made the assault on the ultimate level did not make much difference. Even without attempting the ultimate level, there is no 12th layer existence in the main universe that can kill him. Cosmic starry skies. Lin Yuan's figure appeared out of nowhere. This was his Taiyang divine spirit. The cosmic spacetime. Lin Yuan looked deep into the distance. The comprehension of the 7th realm of spacetime made his perception incredibly terrifying, reflecting the vast cosmic starry skies and countless spatial layers in his mind. Is this the entire universe? Lin Yuan was slightly shaken inside. Although he could see through every detail of the immortal realm when he was there, now looking down upon the entire universe still stirred something within him. The scale of the cosmic starry skies alone was 100 times that of the immortal realm, with complexity 1,000-fold or even more. Are there dozens of places where spacetime is completely locked down, such that even I cannot perceive them in detail? Lin Yuan discovered that the cosmic starry skies still had secrets in front of him, and there were areas he had yet to explore. These dozens of places, do 7 of them belong to crucial locations of human civilization? Lin Yuan immediately understood in his heart. Any pinnacle race has ancestral lands with rich backgrounds, places of lineage like the clan stars of human civilization and the key locations in the forefront. To prevent snooping by 12th layer ultimates, these crucial ancestral lands naturally have numerous defenses in place. The insect race has 4. Ancestor Chanyu has 5. The Yu clan has 8. Lin Yuan looked around in turn. Lin Yuan didn't forcefully probe these time-space lockdowns that eluded his perception but merely glanced at each from a distance and moved his gaze away. Ichem? The robber clan? Only one? Lin Yuan's expression was slightly surprised. Among the cosmic pinnacle race powers, the robber clan is definitely the most mysterious and powerful, only rivaled by the universe clan at their peak. It is said that the robber clan comes from the previous cosmic era and is targeted and suppressed by the cosmic will. Whether it's the outer domain auroras, the white paper containing two-dimensional worlds, or many ancient treasures that fell into the cosmos from earlier, all originate from the chaos void outside the cosmos. Once Lin Yuan can explore the chaos void ahead of time, the help to himself would be unimaginably great. Of course, while the chaos void contains countless opportunities, it is also very dangerous, but Lin Yuan is merely exploring with an avatar, and if he truly encounters an unstoppable danger, he can just dissipate the avatar. Is this the cosmos? Outside the cosmos, Lin Yuan turned back to look at the massive object behind him. Even in the vast chaos void, the cosmos is an immensely massive celestial body, strong enough that not even rulers of realms can meddle with it. In terms of size, the cosmos is on the same level as beings of the chaos realm. Let's go. Lin Yuan paused for a moment and then immediately chose a direction and started to explore towards the chaos void. Milky Way main star. Taiyin primordial spirit was usually stationed here. Martial Tao 11th rank chapter. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, details about the Martial Tao 11th rank chapter emerging in his mind. As early as in the immortal realm, Lin Yuan had already fully developed the Martial Tao 11th rank chapter. For the Martial Tao 11th rank chapter, Lin Yuan specifically established tens of thousands of spatio-temporal fusion rule models, as well as many other rule models. This was also one of Lin Yuan's greatest gains in the immortal realm, mastering hundreds of thousands of pillar-level fusion rules, surpassing those ultimate beings of human civilization in understanding the essence of many rules, which is why he could achieve what even ultimate beings had not accomplished. Establishing spatio-temporal fusion rule models from the 1st to 5th realm. With these rule models, future martial arts evolutionary paths will be much easier. Lin Yuan thought to himself, having rule models as guidance is like having the right direction, and taking a shortcut making the process much easier. And the spatio-temporal fusion rule models established by Lin Yuan were not only applicable to martial arts evolutionaries, but also could be referenced by other evolutionary pathways, though the effects were not as significant. Even so, Lin Yuan could imagine the impact of the Martial Tao 11th rank chapter on human civilization. Nowadays, human civilization has not yet perfected the complete rule of time model, and the current spacetime rule model, even if fully understood, cannot fully comprehend the rule of time. But Lin Yuan directly went further, establishing the spatio-temporal fusion rule model from the 1st to 5th realm. It's almost done. Lin Yuan thought repeatedly, and after confirming that there were no omissions in the Martial Tao 11th rank chapter, he directly contacted the Goddess of Wisdom. Even if updated with the 11th rank chapter, it will definitely still be ranked 10th, unable to surpass any of the top ultimate evolutionary paths. Even Xia Qin himself couldn't figure out how to fully develop and perfect the Martial Tao 11th rank chapter to match the standards from the 1st to 9th rank chapter. Xia Qin, you really care about the Galaxy Master. Void God, an ultimate being, said with a smile. Since that's the case, let's watch the Martial Tao 11th rank chapter. Just watch normally without too many expectations. Upon hearing this, the other ultimate beings glanced at each other and nodded slightly. While chatting casually, the Goddess of Wisdom had already sent the complete Martial Tao 11th rank chapter to each of the ultimate beings. 11th rank chapter. Xia Qin, an ultimate being, watched it first, feeling a touch of nervousness in his heart. However, just a few breaths into watching, Xia Qin's expression changed. This? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible.